Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our second talk from the Big Butterfly Month. And I would like to thank everybody who's here and who's waiting in the waiting room, and people watching live on Facebook. Again, welcome, a warm welcome. Let me just talk briefly about the Big Butterfly Month before I can hand it over to the real reason why we are here. Big Butterfly Month is a citizen science initiative, and it is turning out to be the largest, the biggest biodiversity festival in India, especially on butterflies. We have more than 50 organizations from all over the country partnering in more than 200 districts to basically count butterflies. We are going to use the methodology of getting people used to counting to introduce them to butterflies and make it a festival where education and awareness includes data collection. And for that, today we have Dr. Krishnamay Kunte with us again, and it's a pleasure to have him here. He is instrumental to the talk today. The talk is on how to submit data to the Butterflies of India website, and exciting new things coming in the website and beyond. As we all know, Dr. Krishnamay Kunte is one of the leading scientists working in the field of butterfly conservation. He is associated with the National Center for Biological Sciences in Bangalore, and he is the man behind the website. He has a lot of ideas on monitoring networks that should be formed for data collection, and it would be our pleasure to hear from him today and his journey, what we can do about collecting butterflies, how we can go about it, and how this data is actually submitted and used by scientists like him. So without further ado, let me welcome Krishnamay. Thank you for being here. Before I let you speak, sorry, I forgot about. Let me just lay out a few guidelines for you. Everybody, please, like always, mute your mute your mics and switch off your videos so we could have enough bandwidth for pleasurable talk. Plus, if you have any questions while the talk is on, please leave them in the chat box on Zoom or in the comments in the Facebook, on the Facebook page. We take them in the end, and hopefully we'll get to all. So here's to you, Krishnamay. Please go ahead.
All right. Thanks, Sohail and Chandanu for organizing this. And of course, thanks to all the 50 organizations that have signed up for the Butterfly Month to conduct all these programs. And today I'm really excited to talk about the Butterflies of India website, not only because it can generate a lot of data, it already has a lot of data that you can already use. So through the Butterfly Month and beyond, you'll be able to use the information from the website, refer to images, as well as other information like, let's say, larvalose plants. Use that in your own observations, as well as in your own counts and nature trails. And of course, beyond that, you'll be able to use it for a number of things related to watching butterflies. So I'll explain some of these features to you so that you can use the website to its maximum potential for you. And of course, I'll show how to contribute data so that you can help grow this common shared pool of information and images and all the good things that come with watching butterflies. So this is the general program. I'm going to first show you the website, explain its features, then show you how to contribute information, and then we'll take questions if you have any. Yeah. So I'll first start by introducing you the website a little bit. We started the website in 2010, the beginning of 2010. And the genesis of this was that Vijay Barve, for example, had created a Yahoo group. This was, 20 years ago. Yahoo groups were all the rage. They were the first sort of social media email-based that were generated. And then Vijay started the Butterfly India group, and that whole name Butterfly India comes from that group. And I think since 2002 we had that group. So through this group, a lot of information was being exchanged, a lot of images were being exchanged. And of course, there is Yahoo Group Archival, which is, of course, not the best way to look for information. So in a few years, we realized that if we wanted to harness all this information, all the enthusiasm that was growing at the time, we really needed a platform that would compile all this information and make it presentable in a way that people can easily refer to. And of course, use both in their research as well as to further either the cause of nature education or conservation, and of course natural history. So from that perspective, we had two meetings, one in 2009 beginnings somewhat, and then the second one in November, if I remember correctly. So in these two meetings, one in BNHS's CEC Center near Borivali, and the second one in I think Chanduni Wildlife Sanctuary of Bangalore. And since then, we have been organizing everybody. So that was how the whole movement of this Butterfly India website and all the associated outreach as well as natural history, education, and research that we have been doing. So after that, the website has gone through two major transformations, and we are actually waiting for the third transformation to happen, which we will release sometime early next year. Our whole website is going to undergo a fundamental transformation in terms of its underlying what is called content management system, which makes the website much more powerful than, let's say, a regular website. So we are going to launch our next platform sometime early next year, but the overall features will stay the same. We'll just have more features, and of course, we'll have a lot more beautiful website that functions much better. So with that very brief introduction, I'll now switch off my video. And I'll share a screen from another screen from where I can show you the website. So I hope you're all on Butterflies of India website. If you haven't opened the website, then please go to I Found Butterflies and open the website. And this is how it's going to start looking on your screen. Yeah. So now you see ifoundbutterflies.org, Butterflies of India website. And this is the welcome page. I will just point out a few things. Now, Butterflies of India is part of Biodiversity Atlas India platform. So I hope that you can see my cursor here. This is the logo that we're using for Butterflies of India website. And if you click on it, it will take you to the Biodiversity Atlas India website. And this is sort of the mothership for all the different websites that we have under this bigger platform. And down below, it will show you. I just realized I have this. Program on my computer that I needed to silence. Okay, so you will see some information about biodiversity marathons, which are essentially the data sharing, data gathering marathons. Those are data marathons, no actual running is involved. And of course, you can look up some other information. And we have these 8 websites under that platform right now. But Butterflies of India was the original one. That was the one which started everything. And when we started Butterflies of India, people started asking us, why not a website on moths? Why not one on dragonflies, and so on and so forth. And that is how we have grown with respect to the number of websites that this runs. And all the websites run the same way. So what I'm going to show you today will be useful to use as well as contribute images and other information to any of these 8 websites. And in the future, we'll have a few more taxon-based websites launched. We are working on those as well. So this is that platform, which again, Butterflies of India sort of spearheaded. So now this website is also part of that project. And here's general information on butterflies. The bulk of what you will use is under several tabs, which I'm going to start opening so that you can look at this a little bit better in some time. We'll slowly eventually go to each one of these tabs, and then we'll look at each one of those tabs. Okay. So before I begin, a big thanks to all the people who have made Butterflies of India what it is. I'm just giving a talk because I'm familiar with the website. I've talked about this quite a bit over the years, and this year particularly is fantastic for the website because we have just crossed 10 years. We have just finished 10 years, and it's been a journey. I've myself learned a lot while editing the website, while working on the website, and I'm pretty sure everybody else has. And whether people acknowledge it or not, whether they cite it or not, I know everybody uses this website. So I should give a shout out to all the people who have made this really, really good. Currently, the chief editors are Sanjay Sondi, Purnendu Roy, and I. Purnendu was the one who wrote the code. And then, of course, these are the chief editors. We also have board of editors where different teams of editors take care of different kinds of content on this website. And I'll mention Tarun Karmakar. Most of you probably know him. He's a very nice naturalist, a very experienced naturalist, amazing photographer, and you might have seen a lot of his images. Nitin, Rohan, Pranav, these are all young guys I've seen from their college days, and they have really shaped up to become really fine butterfly watchers and experienced butterfly naturalists, and they have been helping a lot. Hemant is slightly more senior, and he has, of course, helped a lot from the beginning, both in terms of contributions as well as curation of all the data that we have. And you can read the rest of it, but I should also mention that we have a fairly strong team of reviewers, and this is a team that's growing all the time. And these are people who really make data on this website valuable. So please go through this page sometime, understand who these reviewers are, and of course, feel free to email any one of us if you have any ideas about this website, how to improve it, how to add more content, or if you spot any error. Everybody makes mistakes sometimes, and mistakes have a way of slipping by sometimes. But if you let us know, we'll quickly correct those things, and these are people to contact for that. So this is the team. Please become familiar with each one of these people. These are really the engine behind running the whole website. So on the left side, you have, of course, some news and updates. It says join Butterflies of India as contributors and volunteers. Please do this if you're experienced. We need more contributors and volunteers to review as well as do other work for the website. And then this is where all your great utility of the website starts. I've already clicked on the first link, number of species pages. Currently, we have more than 1,000 species pages out of about 1,400 plus species that we have in India. And here is a history of the species pages on Butterflies of India website. So as you will see, the first species page that was created was in May 2010. Denarifly was the first species page created, and of course the latest one to be created was month before last, the Baluchi fritillary from Pakistan. So slowly, we are not only Butterflies of India, slowly we are getting a lot of contributions from Nepal and Bangladesh and Pakistan as well. And we already have some more from Myanmar and Thailand. So this is the history page. If you want to quickly find a species from one of the species pages, this is where you should start. And if you click on any one of these pages, it opens up uh, in on the species page. So I'll just choose something that's good to um, open up to illustrate the strength of this website. I'm just going to go to lesser gull because that's a nice species, and I'll mention exactly why it's useful for our purpose. But when you go to a species page, the first thing you will see is on top you have the scientific name along with the author and the year of the species name, and of course you have the English name. And then under that we have subspecies in India. We have been making this information available going all the way back to 2010. And again, for each subspecies, you have the full trinomial name, and then you have the author and year of each individual subspecies. And then you have the English name of the subspecies. And in most cases, that English name, the addition to the full species name is the location where that species is found. It generally gives the distribution. For example, Remba is endemic to the Western Ghats. Andamana occurs in Andaman Islands. Khasi occurs in Northeast India and Eastern Himalaya, and so on and so forth. So that gives you a very quick overview of where individual subspecies under that species occur within India. And then, of course, if the species is legally protected in India through any of the Wildlife Protection Act, you get that information here as well. For example, lesser gull on the whole is not protected under Wildlife Protection Act, but the subspecies Remba, which is endemic to the Western Ghats, is protected under Wildlife Protection Act Schedule 2, and that is what's given here under status, habitat and habits. Again, that line is repeated because that is where it's relevant. And for all the species which are listed under Schedules 1, 2, and 4, which is where butterflies are listed, that information is given here. Under status, habitat, habits, you will also see that we have a table of all the localities, all the states from which this species has been recorded, and of course, all the months in which it has been recorded. So you can very quickly see that this species has one peak during spring and summer, and then there's a smaller peak after the monsoon. So you can quickly see that this butterfly occurs throughout the year, but then it has these two population peaks when it's most common, right? So you have that information, which is pretty nice. Let me go to photo gallery. Under each photo gallery, all the images that have been contributed are displayed by subspecies. So this is the Andamani subspecies. So all the images from that subspecies, which will be shown first. After that, you have subspecies from Northeast India. And then way below, you can see there's a lot to scroll here because we have a lot of images. And then here you have the Western Ghats subspecies. So under each subspecies, we have the entire image gallery. And you can very quickly see that the Western Ghats subspecies and the Northeastern subspecies look very, very different. There are substantial differences by which visually you can very quickly distinguish between them, which is the reason why we separate these out by subspecies. And if you click on any of these images, absolutely any of these, let's see, this Simon's picture is quite nice. So you will see it in a bigger size. And of course, using left and right arrow keys, you can scroll through these images quickly and look at all the different variation that you want to see. You can look at upper side, underside, male, female, dry season form, wet season form, whatever it is that you want to see. I'll halt here and explain how all the information is organized. So for each image, there's a unique media code for the entire website. So there's only one BN027. Some other image will be BN028 and so on and so forth. So the unique media code comes in the upper right corner. The complete subspecies level name, both scientific and English name, comes in the left top corner. Then the person who has taken the image comes in the lower right corner. And this is the formal name that you should include when you contribute images as given on your ID card. And then on the left, you have 6 of the individual, the place where it was taken, and then of course the date on which it was taken, year, month, and day. Okay. Now, if we can identify dry season form, wet season form, and so on and so forth, then that information will also be added. So this is a male photographed in Meghalaya by Dora Wecker in 2015, and so on and so forth. So you can scroll here, click on any image that you're interested in, and that opens up. And now here you will see that this is a male, and this is a wet season form, photographed at Jayanti by Fahim Khan. You can just use the right key, and here you will say that this is also a male, but this is a dry season form. So wet season form, very bright yellow, dry season form, fairly dull. So you can see all this morphological variation nicely curated, which is very hard to see anywhere else. Actually, if you go to any other website, whether it's common platforms which compile information on all manner of things, like let's say Encyclopedia of Life or iNaturalist, or whether it's more specific to butterflies or any other kinds of insects, this sort of information is very hard to come by. So we have organized all this information, and of course, not every single individual, every single contributor contributes all this information. This is where the reviewers come in curating the information. This is why reviewers is the backbone of our websites, along with the contributors. And I'll explain how this works. But understand that all of this information has been carefully curated, and almost everything that you see on the website has been vetted by at least 2 or 3 very experienced naturalists, which is what makes this website outstandingly reliable in terms of both species identifications and other kinds of information like the distribution, subspecies, and of course attributes like sex and seasonal form or any other kinds of forms. So this is the overall species page under photo gallery. If you go to early stages, then again, according to subspecies or species, you can look at how the early stages look like. For example, again, you can click on an image. This is the Western Ghat subspecies. This is the caterpillar of that, contributed by K. Saji, who has done amazing contributions to this website with respect to early stages. And of course, you can scroll down, you can look at any number of images that you like. Here's the pupa. So you can see again the whole development of the butterfly. Here's the caterpillar. Here's the caterpillar just before pupation. Here you can see it's a little bit, the body looks pretty nice. It's a little bit tight. Here it has become a little bit loose. So that is the indication that it is ready to pupate. And here it is actually forming a pupa now. And you will see that it has formed a body band here. This very faint thin line is the body band, the silken girdle that they create. And of course, this is the pupa. So you can see all these developmental stages, and you can see multiple views of the pupa and so on and so forth. A lot of people have painstakingly made collages of how the butterfly emerges and things like that. So again, you can use that information in searching for caterpillars or whatever else you like. Distribution is one of the most important tabs on the website. So all the images that you saw under photo gallery are displayed here with their locations. And again, as you will see, each subspecies is shown separately. So if you want to know where these subspecies occur in a snapshot, you will see that. Oh, Nevis Source, your microphone is on. Can you please switch it off? Or Shantanu, if you can switch off you can silent that microphone, that will be good. Anyway, so you can see that subspecies Remba, as I mentioned, is endemic to the Western Ghats. Subspecies Nadina is found in the Himalaya and Northeast India. And then subspecies Andamana occurs in Andaman Islands. So in a quick look at the map, you can see which subspecies occur where, and on the whole, where does the species occur. It's startling that you just don't have it anywhere here. And the reason for this, of course, is that it's an evergreen, it's an evergreen forest species, kinds of forests that you don't see here. And status habitat habits I've just shown you, and the larvalose plants. This is again a beautiful feature of our website, quite unique. You won't find it anywhere else, where the entire list of host plants, larvalose plants that are known, are given here along with their references. And of course, all of this information was compiled and published in a paper we published a couple of years ago as part of our I Found Butterflies, the Butterflies of India team effort. So that information is given here. And of course, you can see the larval host plants on which this particular species feeds. Here's a picture of Capparis mooney, quite a beautiful plant, fragrant flowers, beautiful plant in a beautiful landscape. If you have seen it, you won't forget it. So you have that information as well. So you can go from how the butterfly looks to all the variation you see within it, whether it's variation in underside versus upper side, male versus female, or different seasonal forms. So you can look at early stages, you can look at the distribution, and under that, of course, you will see each one of the localities where that species has been recorded, and of course, its occurrence through seasons and in different states, and larval host plants. And if any references are given or if any identification features have already been included, then these tabs will also be visible. I will actually do one thing. I'll go to one more species page and show you that, because I think that is going to be quite a useful page to look at. And here again, this is Indian Red Admiral. You have two subspecies. And again, you will see that one occurs in the Himalaya and Northeast India. The other one is endemic to the Western Ghats, and then a few records from near Bengaluru. So these are the two subspecies which occur under it. And here is a tab, here is a species page under which we have populated information under each one. So image gallery is of course plain image gallery, there is no text, but the detailed early stage information is given here, from how big are the eggs, and then where they are laid, how do they look, what do newly hatched caterpillars look like, and where they stay, and so on and so forth. And of course, you can look at all those images and understand how the eggs look, where they are found, and how the caterpillars go through different stages, how the colors change as they go through this entire transformation. And each one of these galleries is contributed by a bunch of people. Under distribution, a distribution of each subspecies is given. So if any one of you wants to volunteer to write this kind of information for different species of Indian butterflies, please get in touch with me. We will discuss what are the standards and how the entire website works, and I'll be happy to give you a few species to work on. Under identification, again, specific identification features are given. And under status habitat habits, again, there's a lot of textual information. Eventually, in the next 5 years, 10 years, we expect that we will have this sort of text information for every single one of the Indian butterfly species, in addition to all the images and all the data summaries, like what you see here. And larval host plant, again, there are quite a few pictures. So if you don't know what the plant looks like, before you go to your trip, you can very quickly look at how the plant looks, its entire form, how its flowers look like, where it occurs, and so on and so forth, before you can go to the field. So it's quite a wonderful website under which a variety of information is organized in a beautiful way. Without loading everything on one page, we have nicely tabulated it under these tabs. So this is how you can browse the website. I'll go to some other tabs, but I'll first show you that if you're specifically interested in early stages, you can go to the second link here under BOI by the numbers. So I'm going to keep saying BOI multiple times. It stands for Butterflies of India. Sometimes I might say IFB, which is I Found Butterflies, which is the URL under which this website is hosted. So here under number of life cycle pages, you have 368 species. for which early stages are given. And if you click on any one of those, it will take you to the early stages of that species, and again you can browse. So the first one is history of the species pages from the first species to the last species, the latest species that was published on the website. Second one is number of life cycle pages. Uh, Third one is number of identification keys, but we don't have too many at present. We are developing those. So hopefully, again, in the next 2-3 years, especially once we upgrade the platform early next year, we're hoping that we'll have identification keys for dozens upon dozens of species and species pairs, where identifications will be a little bit tricky and where you might benefit from such identification keys. The next feature, and this is again superb, is larval host plants and nectar plants. So if you want to look at just the larval host plants, if you are interested in larval ecology, if you're interested in finding caterpillars, growing caterpillars, let's say you have a school project or a college project where you want to maybe show your students how to raise caterpillars, how the caterpillar transforms, and so on and so forth, you can quickly browse through this, see which species you want to find out. For example, if you're interested in pansies, or if you're interested in some other uh, uh, nymphalids, brush-footed butterflies, you might want to go to one of these. Barleria is a very common plant which is used by pansies. And if you click on a plant, of course, you can again click on it and see all the information in the image in a bigger size. But what is very nice about this feature, about this module, is that it also shows you what species of butterflies it feeds on this plant. And if you click on it, it will take you to that butterfly. So if you found a caterpillar on this plant, you can see which species feed on it and directly jump to that. And from there, you can find out which species of caterpillar it might be. Here is another plant, Flacosia Indica, a very common plant, and you can see that it's used as a larval host plant by the common leopard, as well as or Cuphariamanthus, meaning rustic. So it's used by both those species. And of course, it's also used as a nectar plant by all these different species. This is not the exhaustive list. These are just the records that have been contributed by our contributors. But of course, this can be added on, and I'll again show you how that works. So it's quite nice. And as I mentioned, if you find a caterpillar on Flacosia, you can quickly click on this and see if that is the caterpillar you found. You can compare the phenotype of the caterpillar and confirm that that is indeed what you found. So that's about nectar plants and larval host plants. Again, a wonderful platform, that a wonderful module that Purnendu created. And you will also notice now that the number of images we have on the website is currently 89,246. Hopefully, by the end of this week or next week, we'll have 90,000 images, which is a massive resource. This is the sort of number that you do not see on too many platforms. Flickr probably has more images of Indian butterflies than this, but we, of course, have everything curated. And this number has, of course, grown quite a bit since the pandemic started in March. After the lockdown, we have added nearly 20,000 images. So that's a massive number, and will eventually take over almost any platform you can imagine. We do hope that we'll have millions of records in the next few years if all of us keep contributing to this, so that all the resources that I mentioned earlier just become stronger, better for everybody's use. Now, where do all those maps and all the information that I showed you comes from? It comes from individual contributions. So every single image that you contribute, every single piece of information that we create in the website gets automatically added to a database, and all the information is drawn from that database. So it's not only the nearly 90,000 images that we have, it's also the underlying data that are beautifully parsed out under different categories, so that depending on your use, depending on your requirement, you can quickly search for whatever you're looking for and find it. So it's not only the number of images. You will see images anywhere. You can see them on Facebook. You can see them on any other website, whether they're correctly identified or not, whether they can be used in a scientific study or a natural history study or not. Those are different issues, but here all of that is possible just because it's a very well thought out platform. It's a very well executed platform to which tremendous number of people, more than 1,500 people over the last 10 years have contributed. And the trajectory of how we are growing is just staggering in the last 2 or 3 years. So we are headed to something really big with this. And I'm particularly happy about this because this is homegrown. Most of the other platforms that you will hear about, most of them which are doing very well have been created somewhere else. They do not cater to the Indian naturalist community specifically, or they may not have features that may be particularly used, or they will not create resources only for India. So this is another advantage of our website, and very few websites, very few platforms have this sort of an advantage where we drive what we want in the platform, not that you're limited by what the platform offers, and they may not, the platform may not offer anything that is specific to India, that is specific to our butterflies, and within our butterfly species, information that is specific to India, whereas whatever we do is specific to India, specific to South Asia, and therefore it is going to be more useful to us when we are working in India. So there are tremendous advantages to this. And of course, if you want to look at what are the latest images, you can click on this and it will show you all the recently uploaded images by contributors. This is, for example, contributed by A. Navin, and all these images are from since 12 August. So this changes as we import more and more images. So under that, you can search for any of the butterflies. You can use either English name or you can use scientific name. Let's say you're looking for hormone. As you start typing, it will show you some options. You can choose whatever you want, and then you can go to that page. So search is fairly intuitive. What is useful is the advanced search, and this is one of the best features of our website for people who want to have a quick field guide. For example, if you're going to go to, let's say, um, um, Uttar Pradesh, Shahid Bhagat Singh, no, Shahid, some sanctuary, I forget the name right now. If you want to go there, first you have to search for, this is in Uttar Pradesh, right? So actually Uttar Pradesh, that is one of the most populated things. So I'll just search Uttar Pradesh, and let's say you want to go there in May. So you want to know what butterflies have been known from that place in May. So you can filter everything by whatever queries you have, and it will give you the list of species which have been reported from that place from that month. Oh, so it's Nawabganj Bird Sanctuary, and that was the name I was trying to remember. And this is the second one that I was looking for, Shahid Chandrasekhar Azad Bird Sanctuary, not Shahid Bhagat Singh. Shahid Chandrasekhar Azad Bird Sanctuary, and Ratindra Pandey, he has contributed a phenomenal number of images from that one place. Earlier, we didn't have too many images from Uttarakhand, but I mean Uttar Pradesh, but recently in the last year or so, Ratindra Pandey, just one person, has changed the way Uttar Pradesh is represented on our website. So understand that one person, if you just keep at it, can change the nature of data that are available for everybody from wherever you contribute data from. So it's actually quite nice. Similarly, let's say you want to go to Sikkim. Sikkim again is another place that is just blowing up right now. And so many contributors from Sikkim are nowadays contributing from the really wonderful species. I'm very, very excited about that. So let's actually go to North Sikkim. Really wonderful area. I've had a lot of great time spent there. And of course, recently all the Zongu people have changed what is available from there. And again, let's say you want to know what occurs there in April. So you choose those things and search for it, and it will give you the entire list of species which are known from Sikkim, which are known from North Zongo area from April. Yeah. So if you want to go to the field, you can just search for this on your mobile and you can carry this to the field. So you basically have your field guide made for that one particular trip. You know what has been reported already, so you know what to expect when you go there in April. And of course, it will show you the phenotype, the wing pattern of that butterfly, so you can quickly refer to it and confirm whatever butterfly you're seeing in the field. So this is your field guide. There you go. You don't have to spend any more money than what you need for your data, and you just choose where you want to go in which month, and you have your field guide right there, yeah, along with the information that is already given here on all the images. And Sonam Wangchuk Lepcha, he has contributed phenomenal amount of data in the recent past, and many others since then have started contributing. So you will see all those images here by species. And of course, from Sikkim, many other places are getting populated quite a bit. So this is how to filter for data using more advanced searches. And of course, you can also search for specific text. You can search by photographer if you want to know what pictures, how many species you have contributed. You can just search for your name. Let's just say who has contributed a lot of pictures among this. I see. Actually, let's search for Rohan. Rohan Lovlekar again has done a lot for this website. So I would like to show some of his images. Rohan, actually, I'll go with Rohit first because I saw that name quickly. Oh, and I should take out this. Okay, so again, here you go. So if Rohit wants to know what pictures he has contributed, he can quickly see what species he has contributed to. So, and of course, if you don't choose a month, that will give you the whole list. And here is Rohan, and this is what you see. So quite a wonderful feature as far as quick browsing goes. And of course, if you want to search for either species from a particular locality, from a particular month, or by a particular photographer. So this is what you can find from the left side. And I'll go to submit observations a little bit better. I've shown you this page. If you go into butterfly biology, there's larvalose plants. And on this one page, you can see any species for which larvalose plants are known. Giant red eye, for example, a tremendous number of species have been recorded. And along with the references, you can see who has recorded that species or who has at least given compilation where that species is mentioned. And if you want to know about it, you can just click on the name and it will take you to the website. So it's, again, everything is linked within the website. So navigation is superbly easy and quite intuitive. If you go into butterfly biology predation, you can see various kinds of information. This is butterfly associations, and you can see that there are these trombidium mites on wings and legs of this particular plain scripted. If you want to look at predation, here are images of all the different kinds of things that eat butterflies and the caterpillars and pupae. So you will see that at different stages, different species have been shown here being eaten by different predators. So it's a quite a nice gallery, especially if you want to show kids what eats butterflies or how butterflies are important in the ecosystem, in the food chain, and so on and so forth. And of course, this is the latest tab that we have created, Outreach. Biodiversity marathons, I mentioned, these are our data marathons. And the Big Butterfly Month is the reason why we are here. So that information is also given here. All the people, all the institutions which are involved here, all that information is here. And of course, this can keep on growing as more and more projects are undertaken. If you go to extras under contributor awards, you can see who have contributed a lot of images over the years. So these are again the heroes which make this website possible and also quite valuable. In last year, for example, contributor of the year was Rajesh Prabhakar Mahajan, who has contributed a lot of images from Gujarat. And it, of course, mentioned how many images he contributed last year versus the year before that, and so on and so forth. So that's, again, quite a nice page if you want to know. And here's the history of how the website has grown. Just a small side note. You can read about I Found Butterflies, what we want to do going forward. But now I'll switch to the most important feature of this website, and which is why you're all logged in today, which is submitting observations. So here's a tab called Submit Observation. Please read this carefully before you go on, because there is information that you should know. For example, it will tell you somewhere on this page that every single observation that you contribute should have only one individual included in it. And I'll explain what that means. Although I could probably just look at that and see where it says that. So if you have taken multiple images of a single individual, this is point number 12. Then if you have taken multiple images of the same individual, all of them should be included under the same observation. If you photograph 5 different individuals of the same species at the same location, images of each individual should still be contributed as different observations. So the guideline is 1 individual per observation, or 1 observation for 1 individual. Yeah. So these are important things that make the website database quite strong, and that is of course useful for all of us. It's not some random rule that we have made. It has come from a lot of thought put into how we want to use the data, and how it is intuitive to organize everything so that it's easy for you to find things on the website. So please pay attention. It's ultimately going to be useful for you and all the other users. So read these guidelines first. And of course, when you're ready, I might come back to some of these guidelines later. So I'll keep this tab open, and I'll open a new window, new tab rather. So ideally, you should sign in or sign up using your Gmail, whatever whatever email address you want to use. Register for it. There's a simple form that you have to go through, and once you sign in, it will show you all the different features that you can access. I'm an editor, so I have some more options that you won't see as a contributor, as a reviewer. For example, I see the import tab, which you won't see, but ignore all the other things. All you need to know right now is how to contribute, right? So you will go to upload observations, which is submit observations. That's where we are right now. And there you can choose an image, fill in information, and then submit. It's very easy, and I'll explain how that works out. So let's go to one of the images. Let's say I'm just going to do, let's see, something simple. Let's go to Savandurga, for example. It's a small place near Bengaluru, and ideally you should contribute images of the most common species that you can see anywhere you go. It's not necessary that you only contribute rare species or rare images. Ideally, one biologist said it beautifully. He said, what is it that common species cannot tell us about biology that only rare species can tell? And this is, of course, a rhetorical question. Of course, the common species can give us more data, and therefore what you learn from common species is going to be a lot more deep than what you might learn from a rare species, because you're not going to have enough data on rare species, right? So that is the idea behind this. So I'm going to probably quickly find something that I might not have contributed, although I think from this clip I have contributed everything, but let's try this one. So this is Coloris aurora, and this is a female. I name all my files in this manner, and if you want, you should follow this format because it's quite nice. So this is Coloris aurora. I use scientific names. You can use English names if you like. And it says female, Samandurga, date, and then my name. That is the whole string. And of course, this is, I'm going to start typing aurora. And there's only one species called aurora in India, and that's the plain orange tip. You can also search by English name. For example, start searching by plain orange, and that option will come up. So you can choose it, and then that name is taken. Okay. So,
Dr. Kunte.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes.
There's some problem with your microphone direction, probably. You're sometimes audible and sometimes you're like on or inaudible. So maybe we can do a little tinkering with the microphone. Maybe?
Yeah, I think I know what has happened. My laptop is on the side, and I'm looking at the desktop now. So I'll just change the location of my my laptop so that I'll be audible. Has this improved a little bit?
Perfectly.
Okay, great. I wish you had told me earlier so that whatever I was saying was clear, but anyway, well, I just see Mr. Nagraj is on the screen here on the side. Hello, Mr. Nagraj. He is another hero who has contributed tremendous number of butterfly images and data. And this is what I mean. You don't have to go to some fancy place somewhere far away from your home. Just go to the nearest place, photograph everything that you see, the commonest species, but then of course take good pictures or the best that you can with your camera and with your experience, and then upload them. And Mr. Nagraj has done this the best among several other people. Rohit, other Bangalore people have been quite good. And more we are getting people from Chhattisgarh, from Arunachal Pradesh, from Assam, from Sikkim, and so on and so forth. Anyway, so if you don't know the name of the species, you can leave it blank. Name is absolutely not required. There are only two data that are absolutely essential. One is the date, and this was taken on 6 June. And then the second important information is the place where you took the picture. Yeah. So if you leave everything else blank, no problem. If you either do not have the experience required to input all the other information, or you do not, somehow that species could not be sexed, for example, in which case just put in the date, just put in the location, and then you're done. So you can just go ahead and submit your observation. Yeah, and then it will ask you whether you want to keep all the information associated with this observation. If you're going to upload multiple images from the same location or same date, then you should say keep details for the next observation. And then I can, for example, add another image. Let's say we want to contribute image of this caterpillar, and let's assume it's a plain tiger caterpillar, but let's assume that I don't know what it is. So I'll just clear the taxon form. So I'm not going to offer name of the species, but this is on the same date, 6 June, and the form had been retained. And this is not an adult, it's a caterpillar. So I'm going to choose caterpillar. Place name is Savandurga. Gender, sex of the caterpillar, of course, is non-known. If you want to put in some information about habitat, for example, here I'm going to say near the dam. Okay, so that's my note. If there are any other notes, I'll say This is one of the 4 caterpillars we saw. Okay, whatever notes you want to offer, you can input them, and based on the name that you registered, it will automatically show name of the copyright. If you're contributing on behalf of somebody else, which I discourage generally, but if somebody who just is going to contribute one image in his or her lifetime and they request you to do it, you can put their name here instead of yours. By default, your registered name comes there. But if you are using some other name, contributing on behalf of somebody else, you can put their name there, and then of course submit. And I'm going to keep the form, and then once you have submitted, you should go click here, which basically says that you have confirmed all the details before this goes into the review system. Yeah, and here I just realized that this is actually a female. So I'm going to go here and click on female, and you see this changed. I'm going to click on save changes, and then I'm going to click on double check the date and location. So these details are confirmed. You should remember to click this so that all the details are verified by you before we can see the images. Often people, new contributors, contribute images, they have submitted images, they think, but unless they have clicked on this details confirmed, we can't see them in the system. So remember that. So this is how you contribute. If you want to change anything to whatever you have contributed, you can go back to this and change whatever you need. And let's say here I remember that this particular image was not from Savandurga itself. This was from Manchanabelle Dam, the Arkavati River right next to Manchanabelle Dam, right? So although by mistake earlier I chose Savandurga State Forest, now I'm going to go back to that and say it was actually Arkavati River. And of course, this change, save changes has appeared again. Once I click on it, that option will go away. And now you will see that the location has changed from Savandurga to Arkavati. Yeah. If so, you can go back to your observations and change any of these things. If you learn about identification, you can put that in. If you realize the date was wrong, you can change that, so on and so forth. Okay. So this is your part. This is what you need to do. And as I mentioned, once you have chosen at least 2 things that you want to contribute, the date and the location name, rest of it we will take care of if you don't know that. Okay. Or if you're not sure about identification or whatever else, we'll take care of that. So this is what you will see as a contributor. And now I'm going to give you a quick tour of what happens before your information gets onto the website. So when you contribute your images and all the other information, it immediately does not appear on the website, unlike what happens on Facebook, let's say, or what happens on iNaturalist, because all the information that you contribute gets reviewed by experienced naturalists before it goes onto the website, because we want to keep our website highly reliable, highly authenticated. All the materials on the website, we want it to be highly authenticated, which is why we peer review everything before it goes onto the website. So the submit observations is what you will see, or anybody who contributes, including me, will see. But when we log in as reviewers or editors, this is what we see. So I'm going to look at this name, and the name is correct. So I'm going to agree to this. Pranav and Rohan, I see that you're logged in. Can you also log in as reviewers? Pranav and Rohan, can you hear me? Just say quickly, so switch on your microphone and say yes.
Yes, I can hear. I have already reviewed the observation.
All of these?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to refresh this and see if that appears. Oh no, these you haven't. So can you please go ahead and review these so that your name will also appear as a reviewer as I go on doing this. So anyway, Rohan has already reviewed Colotis aurora, the plain orange tip. Adult, female, we agree with all of that, and therefore we are going to go ahead. except that I just realized that this is also the wet season form. And how do we know this? That is because you see these big spots. The dry season form will not have that. And often the dry season form will also not have so much orange there. Yeah. So I just realized that this is a wet season form. So I'm going to add wet season form there. I'm going to suggest that and review everything else and then go to the next one. Now, assume that this is one of the observations that you have contributed without knowing what it was. And as a reviewer, I know that this is a plain tiger. So I'm going to start typing plain tiger. And then I will get some options. I will choose the subspecies level name, and caterpillar is correct. Location name is correct. Everything else seems fine. So I'm going to go ahead. This is given as Nara, but of course these things can be identified only from the underside. But I'm going to go ahead and trust that this person has done it, with a note that ID to be confirmed with upper side. Yeah, UP is upper side, UN is underside. So I'm going to leave that note there and go on. This is Emolus, common ciliate blue, but the subspecies level name was not chosen. So I'm just going to type Emolus, and this is what comes up. This is in central India, Madhya Pradesh, and the subspecies that occurs there is Bengal common ciliate blue. So I'm going to choose that and put in my note there. And here I cannot tell whether it's a male or female from a small thing. Now I see that this is a male. So I'm going to put in male here, and I'm going to suggest that. Same thing here. This is Emolus. Emolus, the Bengal common ciliate blue. So I add that. This is also a male. So I go ahead and add it. So this is how we go on. This is, of course, black spotted Piro. This is adult male. We just verify that that is correct. And then we go on. Yeah. So at this stage, what I'm going to do is refresh this quickly so that I can see whether Rohan has reviewed this. So I see Swati HA, another reviewer has reviewed this. Rohan has reviewed this, and I have reviewed this. As you go on, you will see that several other people might have reviewed some of these observations. For example, Pranav might have, Hemant might have, and so on and so forth. So this is how we review. So most people will only have, most high level contributors will only have that information. So this is how we go on. Rajat Joshi has also been reviewing quite a bit recently. And this is what as editors we do now. So this is the third level of contribution to the website. The first one was contributing your observations. The second one was reviewing your observations. And the third one is publishing your observations. So we do not publish observations unless at least 2 experts agree that the identification is correct and all the information that you could have contributed is there. Yeah. So all of us have agreed that this is plain tiger, and therefore that name appears here. It's a caterpillar. Yes. The location name is correct. The name of the copyright holder is complete, and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to import it. Actually, this one I won't, because this was a test. I'm pretty sure I've submitted this. This also has been done, I believe, but I'll check that, and after that I'll do this. Now here we don't know for sure whether this is Nara or not. Yeah, I've left a note here. If Surabhi Kokane wants to confirm it later, she can do it. So I'll give her a few days or maybe a couple of weeks so that she can put that up. And let's say I just realized that we need to see the upper side. So I'll say, can you please upload image of the upper side if you have any. Yeah. So I'll leave that comment, and there will be an email that will go to Surabhi. She can upload an image which will get added to the same observation. I can review it, and then I can publish it. Yeah. So this is Emolus. Emolus sounds good. This is a male. I agree. This is from Singaneva Jungle Lodge. Everything is fine. So I'm going to go ahead and import it. And this is what you will see. This is the image that was contributed without any text on it, which is how we want it. We don't want the copyright watermark. We don't want borders. We don't want anything. Yeah. it should be a plain, clean image, which is what you see here. But now that all this information has been added, the sex of the individual, form if it exists, seasonal form it exists, the location, date, copyright name, and of course the identification. Once all of that information has been put up, when I click import, this is what happens. This image is automatically formatted. Its name has been put up here. I'll actually click on it so that you can see it. Its name is there now, media code is there, and of course all the information associated with that observation is there, along with the person who contributed that image. Yeah, and if you want to change any text, we can change it here. So again, we have control over everything. So don't be afraid that you might do something wrong. There's nothing that you can do wrong on this website. This is made for little kids. This is made for perhaps older people who may not be comfortable with either internet or with this sort of web applications. It's perfectly fine. You're not going to be able to break anything on the website. The worst you can do is upload an observation which is incomplete, but we can take care of that too, along with your help. Yeah. So be bold, just go ahead and contribute. It's going to be pretty easy. This is again mail, and I'm going to import that. This now I agree with everything there, so on and so forth. Yeah, clear? So this is how the website works. This is how everything that you contribute gets reviewed before it goes online. I'm just going to quickly look at whether there's anything interesting that I want to show. Oh, I just spotted one. So this is striped Piro. That's a correct identification. Both the contributor had given that identification, and at least one reviewer had agreed with it. So striped Piro, this name in black, was what this contributor submitted, and Swati has already agreed that this is that. And you notice earlier there was a name in this box for copyright. Yeah, these are our registered users, registered contributors. Here's a contributor who had just joined. These are his Mayud Singh Jhala. Okay, so it's a he. So he is a new contributor who had just contributed his first images. So his name is not there. So I'm going to add you there, and I'm going to leave you a message. Welcome to Butterflies of India, and thanks for your contributions. Okay, so I'm going to leave that message for you, and I've already added this. This place name is not given, so I'll have to create that, and I'm going to hit import. Okay, and because this image has been contributed from a location which does not exist in our database, I'm going to first very quickly check whether it exists there, and it doesn't exist. So I'm going to Google search. I'm going to search for that location. There is that place, and then I'm going to create it. And the reason why we have to do this once for every location is that we want a name for every single one of our locations. Otherwise, you only have lat-lon. So if you want to find a location from a lat-lon, if you are good with GPS, you will be able to find it. But most people are not comfortable with it. For most people, it is easier to just know the location and then go there and then look around. And of course, we have a location as lat-lon. So of course, it's possible to get precise lat-lon. If you contribute that, we can do this, but this is how we create location database entries so that everything is given. And if you want to look at that particular observation, you can now see that, let's see where this was from. This was from Chotila. So I'm going to go. There, I just searched for Chotila, and this is that locality from where that picture was contributed. So what happens is, as you contribute images from a particular location, the location gets added under, I'll go on top, you will see this is the same tab, distribution, where you saw the map. and below that, all the locations were listed. So if you're interested in any one of those localities, let's say you're interested in, what should we look at? We have quite a few Bengalis in this audience. So let's go to Jalpaiguri district. Okay? And this is another wonderful feature of this website. If you want to look at any one of these localities, you can of course go back and forth between different ones. But here you have chosen to go to Jalpaiguri district, this particular location. And here it will show you all the species which have been reported from there. Yeah, really nice. So it's not only showing all the localities that this species is known from, but if you want to now explore any particular locality and you want to click on it, it will immediately show you all the species which have been known from that one specific locality. From Nal Sarovar, only one species has been reported so far. But of course, if you go to some popular localities, you will see Chiprun, let's say, lots and lots and lots of observations. So you will be able to scroll and see all the species that have been recorded from that. So if you're writing a paper, for example, you want to know what species have been recorded from that particular location, you can quickly look up and then cite that in your paper. Yeah. So I think this is all the features that I can think of. Rohan, Pranav, Mr. Nagraj, Rohit, whoever else is logged in right now. Can you remind me if there are any other features that I have skipped, which we should probably tell our users about? You can also quickly write a message which Shantanu can read out to me. You don't have to switch on your microphone, but at least Rohan and Pranav can switch on their microphones and tell me if there are any features that we should tell them.
What about hotspots? We can.
Going, Krishna, like you almost covered everything.
Okay, all right. Fine. So anyway, I'll just very quickly mention that this is something that we are developing. This is just the beginning. We want to automate a lot of things here and so on and so forth. But if you go to extras, there's this thing, butterfly watching hotspots. So if you want to know where to go look for butterflies, these are some of the places that are wonderful for butterflies. If you're a new photographer or a new butterfly watcher who wants to see a lot of butterflies, go to Pakke Tiger Reserve, go to Baksa Tiger Reserve. Absolutely mind-blowing places where you will see species you can't believe if you haven't looked through a butterfly book. Really, really stunning species. I mean, look at this. Such a bright metallic green butterfly with a bright orange patch in the corner. So you will see all sorts of wonderful species, and of course, lots and lots of species in total, which is what makes this a butterfly hotspot. So this is under development right now. I think by early next year, we'll have a lot more information here. And I hope that one of the localities that you have chosen to contribute from as part of the Big Butterfly Month will become a butterfly hotspot as you start contributing more and more images. So it doesn't have to be some fancy place. It just has to have a very good documentation. And that is what we are serving through this website. Yeah. So I'll stop here. If you have any questions, let me know. Before that, I'll also mention there's a list of contributors which you can look up. Everybody who has contributed, we would like to list here. This also will get automated in the next few months. So if your name is not there, but you have contributed, your name will appear in due course. Just be a little bit patient. And then of course, we have publications of our found butterflies. These are papers and books that we have published as a group. These are not my own publications or somebody else's publications. Anybody who has done any work under the banner of Butterflies of India and I Found Butterflies, all those publications are listed here. For example, here is another one which Sanjay Sondhi, Balkrishna Vallapil and Vidya Venkatesh published recently, just a couple of months ago. This is the paper about, or rather article about the website itself that Sanjay and I published earlier this year in January. So you can just explore what sorts of information has been published using data from Butterflies of India and our other platforms. So click around, explore a little bit more. When you're comfortable with Butterflies of India, you can also click on something else. Let's say Odonata of India, and that will take you to our Dragonflies and Damselflies of India website. And the platform is more or less the same. Features are more or less the same. You can click on any of the images or any of the species that you're interested in. Here is, by the way, the latest discovery from that world. Here is K. Subramaniam from ZSI recently published, described the species Andaman marsh hawk, and this is his picture. Yeah? So everything works the same way on all the websites. So once you become comfortable with one, you're going to be comfortable with everything else. Okay, I'll stop here and I'll take some questions if you have any. But I hope that I've been able to convince you that contributing is super easy. All you need is a decent picture. It doesn't have to be a great picture. It just has to be a decent enough picture in which a species can be identified, and try to crop as close to the butterfly as possible so that you're not leaving too much space outside. Here, for example, from this small picture, I can already tell that this is a striped Piro male. Yeah? So it should be at least this big. Ideally, it should cover a larger area of the frame. So crop it, include date, include location, and then submit. That is all. Rest of the information is automatically taken. For example, your name and other things like sex of the individual, form, and all those things we will include if you don't know about them. Of course, we appreciate if you already contribute that information. But if you don't know about it, if you're just learning, you can leave all those other fields blank. We will take care of those fields. And in no time, I guarantee you, in a matter of months or at best years, you will be as much of an expert as anybody else. If you keep looking at this website, I think this website is that good. The amount of information given there, the amount of curation of information that you see is just outstanding. You're not going to see this sort of information on anything else, on any of these websites. That I guarantee. And of course, this is going to be a work in progress forever. Every month, every year, we are going to have new information, more contributors, more reviewers, more editors. And it's just going to shape up to be one of the best resources that you will ever find on butterflies, online or in print. So become a contributor, especially through the Big Butterfly Month. Try to contribute as many images as you can, because all of that becomes a Big Butterfly Month data, which all of us will be able to share and cherish in the long term. And of course, continue on beyond the Big Butterfly Month in contributing your images and other information. So thanks for listening. I'll take questions. I think Sohail has explained this earlier. If you have any questions or any comments, leave them in the chat box here. And Shantanu will, of course, read them out to me. And of course, I will also look through the chat box so that I can see what are the sorts of questions you people have, and I will then answer them.
Thank you, Krishna. It was a fascinating talk. There are a few questions in the chat box. Shantanu, would you like to? This was an amazing talk. So many contributors, so many people putting on data already. I think this has great potential to grow in a country like ours. And wow, this was, yeah, I got to know a few things. I've been using the website for quite some time, but I got to know a few things that I'm eager to use. So yeah, Shantanu, if you could take the questions, there are quite a few questions.
Yeah, I would. The first question which I'd like to read out is from Mr. Anil Sarsavan, whose basic question is, can we submit old recorded photos to Butterflies of India website?
Absolutely. Submit old records going back 150 years if you have them. In fact, if you look at some of the images, I will quickly show you. Let's go to Bhutan Glory. Okay, this is the Bhutan glory. And by the way, you've heard that in 2008, the Bhutanitis Ladlawi, the Bhutan Ladlau's Bhutan glory, or mystical Bhutan glory, or Bhutan Ladlau's Bhutan swallowtail, there are multiple names for this species, was rediscovered in Bhutan. But if you actually look at the website, the first image of this species taken, as far as we know, was actually from India. And we realized this only after the paper on this species had been published. And this is the very first image taken by Rohit Nanivadekar in Eagle Nest Wildlife Sanctuary. This is 2007 August. So it's amazing what this website can throw up. So even if no other records had been contributed since then, we just realized that the first rediscovery record was actually from India, not from Bhutan. And maybe there are some older photographs in Bhutan possible, but as far as we know, this is the first record since the species was described. Yeah. And of course, in 2007, the website did not exist. Only after it came to light that Bhutan glories, there are 2 species in India now, not 1. And Rohit had this image he contributed, and we realized that it was the mystical Bhutan glory and not the regular Bhutan glory. So we have this. So you can go back and compile this. And of course, the reason why I opened this particular page is that these are the type specimens of this particular species, which means that these are the specimens from which this particular species was described. You will see that this was collected from eastern Bhutan, the Trashingze Valley, by Ladlau way back in 1934. So you can see all that information. This was treated as a paratype of that species, and this is the original label that came with it. This is a female, and so on and so forth. So this is a specimen collected in 1934. I photographed this in 2012, if I remember correctly, and then we uploaded it. So you can go back 100 years, 150 years if you can find those records and contribute, no problem at all.
Okay. Can you take the next question?
Sure.
Yeah, next, moving on, there's a very interesting question on Facebook by Nitin Kauthankar. He asked, how do we add host plants to the website?
Okay. So right now, the way to add it is through images, like everything else, every other kind of data that we have. But once the app gets ready, that we are working on, and sometime this month you will hear about it when we release it. But through the app, you will be able to contribute textual information. So if you see a caterpillar on a particular plant, you will be able to contribute that record without an image. But right now, if you want to contribute images of Lavalos plants, we do the same thing. So for example, here, this is a 12 MB file, so I'll need to optimize it. Maybe let's just find another file to upload. Let me see what other plant I can upload here. Actually, all the files here are going to be large, but this one is not too bad. This perhaps is also not too bad. Oh man, something smaller. Actually, let me see if I can upload it. No, this is also too large. This is what I'll do. I will just upload some file from somewhere.
Krishna,
yes.
Krishna, Rohan here.
Yes.
We need file size less than 10 MB that we should.
Right. So that is what I'm going to quickly do. Let's see. Okay. So here is a file that I want to include. Yeah. This is too small now. Okay. I'm just going to randomly add a file and let's see what happens. All right. Here is one. So this is mostly a butterfly, but I'm going to use this as a plant thing. This is acacia. So here, instead of life stage as adult or caterpillar or whatever else, you choose this as larval host plant or nectar plant, right? So if you choose this as a larval host plant, again, you don't know the name of the species, you can leave that blank, no problem. And everything else is there. You can cancel all these nodes because they're not relevant to that particular observation. And then you can submit it. Yeah. So the way to contribute host plant or nectar plant observations is to choose life stage as either larval host plant or as nectar plant. And once you choose that, everything else is the same. You submit it and you confirm the details. Once you confirm the details, I'll just refresh it here and that image has appeared. So this is acacia. So I'm going to start typing acacia. Oh, actually, what I'll do is I'll go to import so that you can see how that gets. Acacia. Let's assume that this is catechu. It is not, but actually this looks more like Nilotica. Yeah. So Paresh Turi, who is our plant expert, he knows a lot about plants, has done a lot about early stages as well. He and others, of course, do plants. I only sometimes help with that, but I leave that to the experts. So this is Acacia nilotica. So I've chosen that. This is larval host plant. Everything is okay. So I'm going to say import, and automatically it has added this family name for that, and added the name, and then all the other information is there. And if I go to the plant information, here I can add what species feeds on it. Right? So here two species are already given, Anthony lysinina and Everest lactonus. So that's orange crowned cupid, and Anthony lysinina is pointed ciliate blue. Yeah? So if you go to that particular page, you will see that those two species already exist on that particular plant species. This is how we add. I'm going to delete this observation, by the way, because this is just a test observation that I wanted to upload. Before I forget, I should delete it so that. Okay, all right. Fine. So this is how we contribute these observations. Okay. What's the next question?
Next question once again from Facebook. Somen Pal says that from West Bengal, I can't manage to put in locations. Sometimes it catches, sometimes not. Don't know what happened to me. I use mobile for submission. Is that an issue?
Mobile can be a problem, not because of the platform itself, but because our website is not mobile friendly right now. Next year, when we launch the rebuilt website, the revamped website, that will be mobile friendly. So it will be easier to do that from a mobile. And in fact, at that time, you won't even have to create a new location record. You can just choose your GPS point from the phone as well, if you want. If you want to do a proper database entry, you can do that. But until we have the rebuilt website, the upgraded website next year, you may face some problems with mobile phones. But I'll show you how you want to create that. So let's say you're submitting your observations. Here you can, Pranav, have you recently done this while creating an entry, a contribution? Have you created location?
No, Krishnanag.
No, you haven't. Okay. So let's just try that. So let's say you want to search for something that may or may not be there. I'm going to search for Peacock Bay, Pune, for example. This is a place where I used to go quite a lot when I started watching birds and butterflies. And I don't believe this location is there, but actually I'm going to just very quickly check so that Sharon has just uploaded an image. So let me import it and let's see what we can do with this. So this is a male, so I'm going to add that. This is Nandi Hills. Fine, I'll import it. And here I can see whether Peacock Bay exists. Okay, Peacock Bay location does not exist. So I'm now going to go back to this. Peacock Bay is already there. And the place where I used to watch butterflies was actually, let me see, this is Kudre, so that's the Ghat, okay. You can of course zoom in and zoom out. And this is Peacock Bay, all right. So the place where you used to observe butterflies was somewhere in the valley. It goes here. So I'm going to put that location as Peacock Bay where I observe butterflies. Yeah. And I'm just going to copy and paste this name there. NDA is the place, National Defense Academy is there. I'm going to actually add that as well. National Defense Academy, and that's in Pune or on the outskirts of Pune. So maybe I'll say near Pune because it's not exactly part of Pune. And the district name is Pune district. State is Maharashtra, and India. Altitude I don't know, so I'm not just going to leave that blank. But anyway, I've filled in this information and then I'm going to save the location. But first you should make sure that all the syntax is correct. There should not be a space between the name and the comma, right? There should not be a space. Every first word, every first letter of the name should be capital, and so on and so forth. And I'm mentioning this because a lot of people nowadays write everything in capital letters, everything in bold, everything in small letters, and so on and so forth. So these are basic English language rules that you should follow. So make sure that there are no spelling mistakes, everything is correct. And once you're satisfied that everything has been done properly, D from district, by the way, should be capital. And all these things are given on that page that I showed you, how to submit, how to contribute your observations. And once you're done with that, you just save, and that's the location it has taken here. Yeah, so this is a new location that we have added. And of course, you can add your images, whatever it is. I'm again just going to do this as a fake record and delete that later. This is an adult butterfly, and then I'm going to submit this, right? So this is submitted now. I'll hold on to this. There I go. Okay, so now you see that location is given here. Okay, this is how you add new locations. So again, I forgot who asked the questions. What the problem you're facing may be because either of your mobile phone, but I suspect that it is probably because the way you are creating the location database entry. Ideally, you should not face any problems creating location. Yeah, if you follow just what I did, if you don't find your location here, click on plus sign, find your location here, put in the names, and then save location. That should work. Okay, and I hope that you will have all the success you need to create new locations. That actually reminds me of very important thing. People, this is very, very important. It saves us a lot of time after you contribute. So pay attention. When you're searching for location, don't copy and paste the entire location. Okay, start typing. After the third letter, you'll be able to see the list of locations that start from that name. And I'm going to go point you to this particularly important page. If you hover on home page, there is a drop down menu. In that, there is how to help pages. There are two pages that we have created. First is contributing media files and photos, which is the page that I showed you earlier. It has all the guidelines for contributing images. And if you wish to contribute species pages or something else, that is information is also given here. So please read through this. That first help page. The second help page is how to add and edit locality records. Read this carefully as well. Basically, it shows what I'm just going to tell you. Start typing your name. You will get a bunch of drop-down options. Choose one from that. Don't manually type anything. And if you don't find it, this is how you create the location. I've already shown this to you. And I also say that, you know, don't type Rani in capital letters. Don't type Kamrup district in capital letters. Only it should be, oh, also it should not be all small. It should be Rani with capital R. It should be Kamrup district with capital K and capital D, things like that. Basic syntax, but please follow that. So this is the page that I'm going to very quickly explain to you. So as you're submitting, I will actually use the example of Rani itself, that it's a wonderful locality. You should go there, watch butterflies, amazing place, amazing butterflies. So when you start typing Rani, these are all the options that have come up. Okay. And this is the location you want, Rani Kamrup district. So just click on that, add your image, add all the information that you want and submit. Don't type. And what happens is once you choose a location once, it will be in your web browser cache. So the next time you look for Rani, you will find 2 or 3 or more drop-down options, all of the same type, which basically say that Rani Kamrup district, Assam, India. Okay, you can choose any of those because that's the same entry that you had chosen earlier. But choose it always from the drop-down option and then go ahead. Otherwise, your location database entry is not going to be linked. And this is what we see when it is not linked. So this is where we are. Let's go to here, actually on top. Here, Yerkaud foothills. This is not linked, right? It's a nice picture. The identification is correct. So I'm going to import it, but because this is not linked, it just takes us a lot of time to process this compared to other cases where we just need to, with a single click, we can import it. Yeah. So pay particular attention to localities. And if you leave a message saying that your observation is not linked to the location database, what you should do is go to Tools, Options in Firefox or whatever browser you use. Basically, go to Options, clear your web browser cache. Remember this, clear the web browser cache. And how to do it is given here. Yeah, it mentions what you need to do if you have already contributed some observations from that. But then definitely make sure that you clear the web browser cache before you go to choosing location. Then you will only get options from the database itself. And then that will be linked. So it will be much easier for us to process it. If you're going to contribute something from a new location and you can't add location, or if you don't find it, please email me that location, copy Pranav and Rohan and Rudra to it. And our email addresses you can find easily. Mine is krishnmeg@butterflies.org. So just, in fact, what I'll do is I'll quickly type my email address here so that you can use that to email me, and same with Pranav and others. So email us your new locations. We'll create those entries so that you have that available when you want to upload images from a new location which does not exist in the database. Okay, what's the next question?
There are a lot of general questions, so let's take a couple of those general questions also, if you allow. So
Sure.
Somebody asks, like human from various places vary in their appearance. Likewise, do these butterflies have some epigenetic differences?
Okay, that is really getting into the biology. So I'll very quickly mention, yes, they do have epigenetic differences, but we won't go into that. Many of the aberrations emerge from epigenetic differences. Many of the seasonal changes are also triggered due to epigenetic interactions and so on and so forth. So we can maybe have some talks about butterfly biology, and I'll be happy to explain these things then. But right now, let's just see what else we need to cover for our website contributions, because our Big Butterfly Month is going to start in 3 days, and you need to be prepared. You need to have some practice to contribute information here so that everything goes smoothly when it's time. The 14th to 20th September, which is our count week, at that time you should be able to have everything ready so that you can contribute quickly. And who knows, maybe through this month we are going to cross 1 lakh observations, which I really hope we will do. So get together all your effort, get together all your friends and everybody else who goes on butterfly watching trips with you and contribute. Yeah, so we'll get back to contributing to website much more than anything else. So Sharon, I think there will be a few more. If you could very quickly explain, if you could very quickly read out. I see there's something about mimicking behavior and other things, but we should really take.
But Dr. Neeraj Sharma in Facebook had got a suggestion.
Okay.
He says that adding an option of numbers observed should tell us relative abundance and real-time population trends on spatial and temporal scales.
This is where the mobile app is going to be handy, because you may not be able to photograph each and every individual that you see, but through the mobile app, you will be able to contribute the exact number of individuals that you saw. So that's a very good suggestion. We are already working on it. Just please wait for another week or so, and hopefully week or so. And when the app is released, you will have a bunch of features that will enable you to add that kind of information on population size or number of individuals that you observe. Yeah, I'm quickly pushing this email addresses, list of email addresses that you should contact. I've just sent that in the chat box. So Shantanu, if you could post this on Facebook or YouTube, wherever we are live, that will be useful. Everybody else will be able to see this then. Yeah, I've given email addresses of Pranav, Rudra, and myself, who can create localities and manage localities for you. Okay. All right. Let's see what other questions are there. Fahim Khan has asked, can you please explain how contributors should add a location? I've just explained that. Dr. Udipta Chakrabarti says, this is an outstanding website, sir, but for some butterflies, like for family licensure or SPD, if you provide basic morpho taxonomic characters, that will be great help. So I already mentioned that we have 6 identification keys. We do need to expand that quite a bit. Please wait for another 6 months, 8 months. Also, if you're an expert or an experienced naturalist, you don't have to be an expert really. But if you know how to distinguish between, let's say, male and female of plain tiger, if you know how to distinguish between plain tiger and striped tiger, you can volunteer to create an ID key for that species or for that sex of that species. So please volunteer, and we can create many more ID keys so that we will have that ready for almost everything that is difficult, where beginners or even experienced butterfly watchers may be able to use the ID keys to identify butterflies that they see. So please volunteer, and I'll keep on saying that for almost everything. A smaller group can only do so much. If there are hundreds of you who are going to contribute and review images on a regular basis, if there are young students who may not know much, but maybe they're good with Photoshop, they can create ID keys with help of somebody who is an experienced naturalist. Everybody has a role to play. Just identify what you can do, when you can do it. Contact us and we'll coordinate everything. Any other question that you find?
I am going through them. Is it necessary to send a photo?
Sure.
Compulsorily with geodata. I have identified the butterfly correctly, but do not have a photo as I do not have a proper camera.
Okay.
I use my mobile. So can I send? So I can send geodata and name if allowed.
Yeah. So I'll
address
that question, but before I do that, I'll mention to you, Shantanu, that I'm looking through the chat box here through Zoom. So you can ignore that, and I will find questions from here.
Fine. I'll do
But
the Facebook
also,
thing.
Sohail, you can look at these questions and choose relevant ones. But Shantanu, if you focus on Facebook and
Facebook.
YouTube, perhaps that will be good. Okay,
I'll do
so
that.
coming back to this question that somebody asked, you have a GPS location, you know the species really well, you just don't have a picture. Currently on the website, you cannot contribute that observation. Our contributions right now can only be done through images. But again, just wait for a week or so, 10 days max. We will have the app ready. Through the app, you should be able to contribute observations of any kind. They don't have to be images. They don't have to be hurdles. You may be able to contribute records of migratory swarm, for example. You may be able to report a caterpillar feeding on a particular plant. You may be able to take a daily checklist and contribute that. You may be able to do regional checklist. Maybe you have watched butterflies in your locality for 5 years, 10 years, 50 years. You should be able to submit that regional checklist based on your entire life long work as well. So all those things will become available very soon. So just wait uh, until maybe the count week or so, and then you'll be able to do this. Until then, we will accept only image-based observations, but eventually all these things will be enabled. If you have any other ideas on what kind of data we can capture and what kind of data you would like to see as a user, as a naturalist, let us know. We'll try to incorporate that. We'll need to write up a code. It might take a few months, perhaps even a couple of years if it's something complicated, but we will definitely incorporate that.
Yeah, I think
A
Krishna has
question.
covered. There's a kind of a suggestion here by Aditi Datta. Can the identifying features be added to submitted unknown species to help the uploader?
Sure, they could be, but if you have the ID keys, that might be easier. So what we normally do is if we have any question submitted by the contributor, we normally give a link, or if we see any problems with the way contributions are made, then we will just uh, give a link, for example, to location database entries. So similarly, if somebody doesn't know the identification and they ask for help, what we can do is once the ID keys, the library of ID keys expands, we can just give them the link in comments and they will get an email about it so that they know what to look for in the future. And I suppose that will address it, right?
Yes, I think.
Okay.
There's
Uh,
another one. After cropping the image to the reduced size, the quality of the image reduces. Can you suggest some alternative method?
Good,
I
good,
think we've
good.
gone over this, but
Very good question, but I'll mention it once again. Um, so the images are displayed at 700 pixels by about 470 to 550 pixels tall. That is the format. If you go to image gallery, that is what you see here. I'm just going to go to one of these species pages and let's see what we have. Okay, so this is a smaller view. When you click on it, the image that you see, the white border is not part of the formatted image. The black border is part of the formatted image. So this is 700 pixels wide, and this is probably 520 or 530, something like that. Yeah. So this is the ratio that we want. So ideally, you should format images, crop images to 680 pixels, and then there's 5 pixel, um, uh, 10 pixels on either side, so that becomes 700 pixels. And typically I do 470 pixels, and after the black borders and the information is added, it becomes 500 something pixels tall, right? So if you have vertical images, if you have very horizontal images, those could be accommodated, no problem. But if you want to see the images very well in the library, if you want to utilize the entire space that is set in the image gallery, then 470 by, 680 by 470 is the dimension that you want to use. but we optimize images. So what you should do when you're submitting is double that. So 680 into 2 is 360, 1360, I mean. So you should crop your images, resize them to 1360 by 940 pixels. So when that is compressed and optimized, it still looks pretty reasonable. So that is the dimension I will recommend. 360 pixels wide by 940 pixels tall, so that it occupies this these dimensions. Yeah, so that's about cropping. And try to save images at the highest resolution that you can with these dimensions, and then upload them. But if you crop them, if you resize them to 1360 by 940, then the upload time will also be shorter. So it's easy for you to upload, and then it doesn't take much bandwidth. So I highly recommend that.
Okay. Question from
Krishna, on a
Facebook.
lighter side, a photographer's dream. There's a question here. Can blur photos be contributed as proof?
As proof? I didn't
As
catch.
a record.
What
I
is
think
it?
that's what he means.
A blurred photo or out of focus photo, can it be contributed as a proof?
Absolutely. I'm glad you asked me this question. I'm going to give you an example, which is what? Just a minute. Oh, I'll show you one more feature. I just remembered that I did not show you. Two features. One is taxonomic notes. So, for example, everybody believes that things that look like this in India are plum juries. There's still books out there which call everything that looks like this plum jury. But there was a paper published very long time ago, 1950s people, that's before most of us were born. At that time, the paper was published, and in that it was shown that what you see in most of India is not plum jury, it's double-banded jury. Yeah. So this sort of things are also given here quite a bit. In fact, I'll open this page so that you can see double-banded jury is what you see most of in most of India. This is the distributional map of that. Plum jury only is known from southern Western Ghats and from northeast India. Okay, rest of India is double-banded jury, and this is the reference that clarified this position. And Bennett was the name of the taxonomist who did this. Oh, this was 1950, not even 57. So that's 70 years old, and people still are following Evans's classification and his description. But Bennett showed that double-banded jury was not a subspecies of plum jury; it was a different species with very different genitalia. So all this information is given here. So there's a lot to learn just from the website. And in many ways, our website is more updated than a lot of books that are out there. So please pay attention to that. And the second feature that I forgot to tell you is that we have this taxonomic breadcrumb on top. What I mean by that is that, of course, every species has a specific name. And of course, here subspecies also have names. But then juries is a group. Abhisara is the genus, where we call those butterfly juries. And then Abhisara come under tribe Abhisarini, which comes under subfamily Nemiobini, which comes under family Rhyodinidae, which comes under superfamily Papilionoidea, and so on. So if you think that you have seen something like the plum jury or double-banded jury, but you're not sure it's that, you want to know what other species occur in India, you can click on the genus level, and you will see all the species of Abhisara that are known from India. Here is another classic example. Again, in very popular books, people have given a description of tailed jury, and they've used the image of spot jury. Until we started seeing this butterfly, the first time we saw it, if I remember correctly, was in 2011. So until then, everybody thought that whatever butterfly looks like this is tailed jury. So in a lot of websites, in a lot of emails, books, papers, description was, or name was used of tailed jury and image was used of spot jury. So this is why you should always go to the genus level or tribe level pages and check what other similar species exist. Okay, so this is one really important feature. If you want to find out, it is part of that subfamily, but you don't know exactly which genus. For example, Dodonas, Punches is a different genus than Judy's, which we were looking at, Abysara, which is a different one from Harlequin, which is Taxila. And all the genera come under the subfamily Nemiobini, right? So use these taxonomic breadcrumbs, and within that, you can go again down to genus or tribe and so on and so forth. So it's very easy to navigate this website. Please use that. It's a wonderful feature that you should absolutely use. Okay, so what are we looking at? Here is the answer to your question. Can you submit blurred images as a record? This is Shashank Dalvi's image. Shashank Dalvi is a very good bird watcher, probably the best bird watcher in India right now. An Indian bird watcher on Indian birds. And this is not a very good image. It's not focused properly. This was taken with a birding lens and therefore it's not clear. But this is the only photographic record of the species from India as far as I know. I don't know whether more recently people have photographed this, but Shashank went to Nagaland to watch birds like he does. In 2011, he took this picture. Since he's a bird watcher, didn't know what species it was. He sent it to me and my jaw just dropped. I knew this species existed. I knew it occurs in Nagaland and Manipur. I had photographed this in Natural History Museum, London, all the specimens they had. So I have this library of 40,000 images from which I can, 40,000 images of museum specimens, every single species of Indian butterfly, or nearly everything except 2 or 3 is there in the Natural History Museum. So I knew the phenotype. I'd never seen a picture of a live individual. So my jaw just dropped saying, what the hell? So we uploaded it even if the picture was not good, because this is the only record, recent record. Earlier, 80 years ago, 100 years ago, 120 years ago, perhaps, this species was known from India. What it looks like was known. It was described, illustrated in old books, but this is the only record. Just a quick question to people in the audience right now. Are you aware of any other recent records of this butterfly recently? If not, this is going to be the only record from India so far, taken by a bird photographer or bird watcher, and that's on the website. So if the species is rare, if the species is seen from an area from where it's not supposed to be seen, then absolutely, even if it's a very poor quality record shot, as long as the species can be identified from that picture, we will upload it to the website, especially if we can write a note saying that this is either the first record from India or that it is a range extension into India. It's a rediscovery of the species from India in 100 years, or it's a very big range extension across, let's say, from Nagaland to Sikkim, or from Northeast India to Southern India. Several interesting species which were known only from Northeast India have in the past 10 years been recorded from South India, for example. So if you have that kind of a record, we'll absolutely upload it, because that is the only proof that you can provide for that species in India. So we will absolutely entertain that, no matter how bad the image is, as long as you can show what it is. And I'll show you another example of that. Really bad image taken by Arjun Basu Roy, but this butterfly was really far. This is the best picture he could get. But I've consulted experts. I've seen museum specimens myself. There is no doubt that this is Papilio right? So because we can be absolutely 100% sure that this is that species, that's the only record from India, only photographic record from India. Arjun tells me that he has seen this species several times in that area since, but this is the only photographic record. No matter how bad the picture is, we'll upload it. All right, next question. How to crop images? Suraj Kevat has asked this question. And I will mention that the best way to do this, of course, is using Photoshop. That is how I do it. In Photoshop, you can set a cropping preset, and once you specify the dimension, for example, I have chosen to crop everything and resize everything to 1360 by 940 pixels at 72 pixels per inch. I've set that crop preset, and now I just want to open 50 images, 30 images, 500 images, whatever I have from a trip. I can open them in one go, crop them quickly using the preset, and then my images are ready for upload. So I know Photoshop works really well, but Photoshop you have to buy. So perhaps you could try perhaps some kind of a freeware. GIMP, I think, is something that people have recommended as a free software for image processing. There may be others, maybe Picasa, maybe something else. So I can't really recommend a software to you that I know will work best for you. For me, Photoshop works the best. That is what I use. But putting crop presets is the best thing to do, so that you can crop images in bulk, so that uploading is much quicker. So that is what I'll recommend.
So Krishna, the last question was from Harshit.
Okay.
And he has a few more questions with it, and he would like to unmute himself to ask those questions.
Sure.
So Harshit, could you unmute yourself?
Hello, am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are.
Yes, you're audible.
So Krishnamik sir, I asked the question of blur photos. So I've been documenting and recording the butterflies in one particular colony in Hyderabad. And then I've seen the distribution, I mean the geodata of these butterflies on the website. And these species have not been, I mean, reported from this area in Hyderabad.
Okay.
So since I do not have all the photos, like P-Blue, I have a very blur photo.
Okay.
Since I've taken it from mobile, so can I send that so that the geodata can be entered?
All right.
Photo necessary.
So right now, what I'll recommend is you hold off that, mainly because if images are really bad of common species,
yes,
surely we get the spot record.
Yes, sir.
But then the image gallery, the quality of the image gallery will go down. So we are reserving poor quality images accepted only for rare species or major range extensions and so on. So regarding data contribution, again, just wait for a week or 10 days. Once the mobile app is released, you should be able to go into the mobile app and just say, I saw this species here. It will automatically take your geolocation and it will submit that. So what I'll recommend is for poor quality images or something that you have only seen but not able to photograph, many of the people only have a mobile camera and they can only take pictures of a certain quality, which may not be good enough for the website. So in those cases, the easiest thing for them to do in going forward will be to use the app. Yeah, and then it's much easier for you. Don't even have to worry about taking a picture. If you're sure that the species you're seeing is correctly identified, and you will of course have your location enabled in your mobile app, and then it will capture a lot of information, including your name, place name, or rather GPS location, and then date and things like that. So all you need to do is input your butterfly name and submit. So that will be the easiest thing. So in terms of getting geo-referenced information on species distributions, that will be the easiest. And that will also address the question that somebody had asked earlier. What if I see 100 butterflies in a day? Of course, you're not going to take pictures of every single individual. But if you have that kind of population information for that locality on that day, the app will be the best means of contributing that information. Yeah. So just please be patient for a few more days and you will have that feature available.
And sir, one last question. So I've taken a very good quality photo from a mobile of a Denadec fly with an improper wing pattern. So will that photo be of any scientific importance?
Yes, absolutely. If you have aberrations and so on, aberrations tell you something interesting about how a butterfly wing develops. Yeah? Developmental biologists, evolutionary geneticists, people who study signals in animal world will be very, very interested in finding out what sorts of aberrations can be seen. So
can
if
I
you
send
have,
that on the Butterflies of India website
yes,
through my
you
account?
can just contribute them using the same format, using the same form that I showed you earlier. Instead of seasonal form, wet season for dry season form, there's an option for aberration. So choose that. If you don't choose it, of course, we will choose it if there's an aberration. So you can choose aberration as the form and then submit that. So that gallery also has to get more and more enriched, no doubt about it. So please absolutely submit that. There's a question from Priyanka Kumari. Oh, by the way, are you done with your questions? Shall I move to other
Yes, sir.
questions?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
great. Wonderful. And I look forward to your contributions. I've already seen a few. So Priyanka Kumari says, how can we list the urban areas sighting like in high-rise apartment gardens at 13th and 15th floor? So right now, through the website, there is no way to tag images that way. But of course, you can mention that in the notes, and notes become part of the database. So if you mention that you saw something on the 15th floor, let's say red Piro, it has a very weak flight. So if you see it on the 15th floor, that's a remarkable sighting, right? How did the butterfly get that high up? How did it know that there's going to be a larvalose plant where it can be up, right? So these are very interesting observations. Put that in the notes so that it gets recorded. And of course, when the mobile app is available, you can also make notes about sightings like this and submit that. Okay, how to know the IUCN status of butterflies? Suraj Kevat has asked this question. There are not many butterflies which are listed by IUCN as under different categories of red list. One species that comes to mind right away is the Malabar tree nymph. It's listed under IUCN, and therefore it's any trade in international, any international trade, of course, is prohibited. There are restrictions on what you can do with that species because it's listed by the IUCN, but there are not many other species which are listed by the IUCN. However, there are quite a few species of Indian butterflies which are protected legally in India, and those, of course, are given here. So whatever is listed under the Wildlife Protection Act, if you go to the species page, that information is given in there. If you're looking for scarce jester, for example, that's a Schedule 1 species. If you go to the species page, you will see this tag WPA1, which means that this species is protected under Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act. Yeah? So most of the species which are legally protected in India, or Indian species which are protected through national and international legislation, the backbone of that still is Wildlife Protection Act schedules. So that information is given here. So that is how you will know the protected status of a species. Okay. All right. Next question.
Can we take some Facebook questions now?
Sure.
Okay. Nitin Kothankar once again asks, like, what his question says is, like, if we see a butterfly on a host plant, do we have to make 2 entries in Butterflies of India, or is there somewhere you can put in one photograph and mention both the butterfly as well as the host plant?
At present, you will have to make 2 entries. You can submit the same photograph if you like, or if you have taken 2-3 pictures of the same association, butterfly and larvalose plant or female laying eggs, then you can use 2 pictures, submit one as a butterfly picture, and then choose adult as the life stage. And then you can submit the second picture as either a larvalose plant or a nectar plant. So the same event can be recorded with 2 pictures or 2 copies of the same picture, one for the plant record, one for the butterfly record.
Dr. Neeraj Sharma once again asks, any provision of short video uploads in future?
We actually had that feature. It is possible to upload videos. We are discouraging that because the videos that we were receiving in the beginning were quite heavy. And it is going to be very difficult to accommodate all those videos, simply because uploading that for you is going to be a lot of bandwidth. And then for us, reviewing and publishing it is not a problem. Website has unlimited space. So even if we become several TB of information, no problem at all for us. The problem is when people try to view the videos, they are not optimized and therefore they're hard to watch. it's going to take a long time to load. So instead, what we are doing now is we have a YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube and search for, let's say, Biodiversity Atlas India, we have a channel now. So if you go to Biodiversity Atlas India, by the way, is the same platform that I told you about. This is the tag that you will see on every single one of our website. And I also showed you bioatlasindia.org website, which is sort of the mother ship, the umbrella website, which holds all the websites together. So the YouTube channel is in that name. And of course, you can go to any of the videos and see that. Here's a video I took of a peacock displaying, for example. I really like it. There's a lot of action in that. So right now the voice is muted, a sound is muted, but there is a nice sound as well. You will see that the peacock is calling. So right now, if you have videos, what we'll recommend is that you send them to us. But again, keep the quality of the video good. So send the video to us and we'll submit it to BioAtlas India. One advantage of YouTube is that all the images are already optimized. I mean, all the videos are optimized when they get uploaded to the website. So whether you have a slow internet connection or whatever other issues you're facing, YouTube automatically takes care of those issues. And therefore we prefer YouTube. If you want to go to, this is of course a bird video, and that was the first thing that popped up. But here's a very nice video made by Tarun. So submit the information. For example, here it says Bhutan Glory. There's information about Bhutan Glory. This was taken at Lama Camp by Tarun Karmakar, right? So here's a video that he has submitted. There's a butterfly, a male mud puddling, pretty nice video. So we have uploaded it here. It's a very short video, just 32 seconds, but it shows behavior of a charismatic species. So we have that. There's a much longer video, more than 11 minutes. And this is a paper that we recently published. This is on lilac silverline. So we have the means to accommodate videos. We are just not doing that on websites right now. We are doing that on the BioAtlas India YouTube channel. But I would like to see a lot of videos of butterflies, and we can of course embed them on the website. So if you put something up of, let's say, scarce jester at the end, for some species, some videos already exist, the ones that we had put up. But now we also have these. The list of videos will come at the bottom, and you will be able to view them. So what we'll do is put them up on YouTube and embed that video on the website so that this is streamlined. So the short answer is yes, we want videos, but they will be posted on YouTube, linked to the website. Next question.
Not much on Facebook, maybe out there.
Harshit
Zoom.
Mishra had asked on Zoom, again, the same thing that we discussed earlier. Is photo compulsory along with geodata? Right now, yes, but once the mobile app is ready, then of course you can just submit a record and not an image necessarily. Rohan has mentioned file size should be 10 MB or less. If you crop it and if you resize it to 1360 by 940 pixels, then uploading is going to be much easier. And of course, there's a minimum size. It has to be at least 680 pixels wide. If your image quality is less than that, of course, then the website won't accept it. Okay. Swati H.A. has put up one question, which is important. How necessary it is to upload handling images. So by that, I suppose she means, is it okay if the picture shows a butterfly on your fingers, or you are handling it? And the answer is we are discouraging that. Sometimes you may need a picture showing, let's say, brand of a bush brown. And there are certain bush browns which can be identified easily from the underside wing pattern itself. Other species you will need to see the brand. So if you have the permission to catch butterflies, if you have caught it, taken a picture, and you want to submit it along with a picture taken in nature before you caught it, so that identification is confirmed, then surely you can upload it. But of course, we won't publish that image anymore. Earlier on, we had done that. But now we notice that a lot of pictures are handling butterflies unnecessarily. And if they see that on Facebook or on websites, there are lots of pictures of butterflies being handled. I think it sets a bad precedent. It somehow makes people feel like it's cool to handle butterflies, which is actually cool to handle butterflies. And if the butterflies on your hand, they might land on your head, which often happens. It's a cool thing, yes, but if it lands on you and you're not doing anything to get it on your finger, great. But a lot of people actively chase butterflies and they try to get them on their arms or on their face and things like that, which creates a lot of disturbance. So at present, we are discouraging that unless it's a species which you otherwise will not see, cannot see, and there's a rare record of that species with it sitting on your head, nose, arm, leg, wherever, it's okay. But again, before it landed on your body, you probably have taken pictures. So we will encourage that you submit those images. And only when a picture, let's say on your face, shows a feature that is not available in other pictures, then maybe we'll accept it. But in most cases, for common species, for regular records, we have started to reject images which are taken with the butterfly on the body of a person. So please don't submit those images. Find images where you're not handling a butterfly. You're of course welcome to post your images elsewhere on social media perhaps, but not on the website if the butterflies are being handled. And it need not be you're holding them. Even if it's on your finger, if you have done some circus to get it on your finger, it has caused some disturbance. And that is what we are trying to avoid. So that is the answer to Swati's question. Next question.
Where do butterflies go during the night and rains?
Sure. I'm nearly to the end of the questions submitted here in Zoom chat. So I'll just very quickly have a look at it. And then maybe for 5 minutes, 7 minutes, we can try to answer other questions not related to the website. But let me first very quickly check whether there are any other questions specifically about contributing to the website. Because remember, the count week is coming up and you are probably already starting to go out and photograph butterflies if you have already not been doing it. And most of you, I notice your names, you have already been contributing to the website. But we do need a lot of contributions during this month, again, specifically as part of Big Butterfly Month. If we have more images, that just a feather in our cap, that as a group, whatever hundreds, if not thousands of people who participate in Big Butterfly Month would have contributed all these images and the associated information as part of the Big Butterfly Month. So I want to emphasize that we want to make this a success. So let's see what questions I can answer specifically about contributions. Perhaps Sohail and Shantanu, I noticed that
Yes.
last time also people wanted to ask different questions which were not directly related to the topic of discussion. So my suggestion is that as part of the Big Butterfly Month, let's have a session where people just ask questions about butterflies, butterfly biology.
Yes.
Yeah, and I will log in. Perhaps Ullasa Kondadaramaya from ICER Trivandrum can log in. We can perhaps invite some international experts, international butterfly biologists as well, who may not know Indian butterfly species and identifications, but who know the biology of butterflies really well, so that they can answer questions about butterfly biology, like where do butterflies go at night, where do they sleep, what happens when it rains, how long do they live, and the question that you asked. So that kind of questions can be addressed. So can we put those aside now? And
Sure,
have
that's a good idea.
for that?
Sure,
I
that's
think
a, yeah.
fantastic. Yeah. Very rarely,
Okay.
either in social media or elsewhere, people get to know about the biology. Mostly we talk about species. So I would really like to have that session. So please organize it. perhaps
Sure, sure.
next week or week after that. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Harshit,
Okay.
questions I
Can
have
I,
a
okay.
family pattern. Then
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes, yes. Who's this?
Devarun Acharya asks, Shantanu.
Okay. Hi.
Devarun Acharya asks, can I upload 2 images, upper and underside, of one individual as a single observation?
Yes, absolutely. We encourage that if you have taken multiple pictures of a species of an individual showing upper side, underside, or a behavior, yeah, maybe a close-up of the proboscis, maybe a close-up of the eye while it was feeding, or maybe close-up of the tail of a particular butterfly. So if you have these interesting angles, absolutely, by all means, feel free to upload these images. But remember the guideline that all the images of one individual should be uploaded as one observation. If you have 2 or more individuals of the same species seen at the same place, you need to upload images of the different individuals as separate observations. So please follow that. But I always like to see multiple images of the butterfly. And apart from showing variation or biology, sometimes it's also useful to identify species. Lycinids, the blues, often we need to see the underside. For a lot of nymphalids or hesperids, we want to see a spotting pattern on the upper side. So ideally, it helps to have at least one upper side and one underside image. So please try to submit that whenever you can. And of course, even if the species identification is obvious, oftentimes the shade of blue in blues or the width of the band in swallowtails or brush-footed butterflies. There's a lot of variation across individuals, across seasons, between male and female that you see in a number of wing patterns. So more images that you have showing the upper side and underside of the same butterfly, more information that we can collate, more information that we can generate, more greater understanding we will have of the variation in butterfly wing patterns. Yeah. So absolutely do it. But at the same time, I'll say that don't or avoid submitting more than 3 or 4 images per individual. Recently, we have seen that sometimes people will upload images of the same individual, 10, 15, 20 images. Beyond 3 or 4, you're not going to add any more information or any more interesting data from images beyond 3 or 4, right? But if you submit 15 images, sure, you have more images submitted to the website. But data, there's a asymptotic relationship, meaning that after some time, the value added is almost none compared to the number of images that you will submit. So please restrict the number of images to 3, 4, 5 max if there's a very interesting behavior that a series of pictures shows. So restrict that, but 2, 3 is absolutely encouraging or encouraged. All right, next question.
So
Aniruddha Singha Mahapatra.
there's a question
If
by
they have any-
Taslima Sheikh. For BBM contribution in said particular days, do we need to click butterflies in the particular days and have to upload on the said sites, or one can upload old dated pictures too for counting purpose?
So counting is, we will filter the data. At the end, Sohail can of course explain this better. At the end of the month, we are hoping to see how many contributions have been made during the butterfly month, 5th September to the end of the month. And then we will see how many butterflies and how many species were seen in this month. So for that purpose, for that summary, we'll exclude images that were taken before September 5th, or let's say before September 1st. But of course, they will get recorded for the species.
Before September 1st,
things
Dr. Kunte, just to.
Before September 1st. And we can, of course, if there are lots of people who are submitting images before taken before September 1st, then Sohail and Shantanu, can you please make a note? We can also release one more number.
We will be. We will be.
Say there were
Yes.
Total contributions
contributed
yes,
in
yes.
September, but additional 10,000 images were contributed taken before September 1st. But
Yes.
this happened during the big butterfly month, so we'll include that in the big count. So
Yes, exactly. And the hope is that it goes on
yes,
even beyond the September that we are planning. So
But that
that's,
will then
yeah,
be similar
all the
to
records.
the contributions that happen to the Butterflies of India website,
Yes.
where
Yeah.
people contribute images, as I mentioned, Mr. Nagraj, Rohit, and Engersol and others, the whole Bangalore group, and nowadays Sikkim group, Assam group, Arunachal group, all these people are contributing images on a regular basis. Now, contributions from Rajasthan have started for the last several months. Gujarat is becoming stronger. So we do want information from all over India, but they will be more like a regular contribution outside of Big Butterfly Month. And of course, once the app is released, people will be able to put in daily checklists and things like that, population information. So counting will not stop, gathering data will not stop, but when we release numbers at the end of Big Butterfly Month, we'll release these two numbers. Images contributed during the month, or rather taken during the month, and images contributed in this month, but taken before September 1st. But we'll definitely count those. So thanks for asking that question.
Okay. Yesterday I was in a regional meeting, Krishna Meg, and
Okay.
there was a person who said that suppose he doesn't know about those sites and never uploads data out there, and he is one of the leading entomologists in Ranchi, Jharkhand.
Okay.
So
Okay.
he says that if I upload these photos in these sites, there is chances the photos will be downloaded and misused by people. So I would rather print a book and release it, rather uploading it to a site where anybody can access the site and download the data. How do you alleviate fears like that?
So I'll give three answers. First is that all these images are copyrighted. So if you click on any of the images, you will see that this is a copyright of Sonam Wakchuk. Yeah. Ideally, nobody should be using these images. Without consulting Sonam, they can email him, call him, contact him on Facebook, whatever. But if the person can be reached easily, or if you can't find them on Facebook, you can of course email us. Every contributor has a registered email, so we can of course pass on that information to anybody who wants to use the image, so that any potential user can contact the copyright holder, get permission for a specific use, and then use it. Yeah. So that's the first thing, that contacting the copyright holder is possible. So everybody should do it. The second thing is, again, I'll point out that all the images on our website are copyrighted to the photographers. They don't belong to the website. They don't belong to the public for anybody's use. These are still copyrighted images. If you see that somebody has misused your images, you are entitled to file a court case, for example, for copyright violation. Yeah. So it's perfectly possible to do that. Now, platforms like iNaturalist or Wikipedia, for example, ask that you choose one of the Creative Commons licenses. And the advantages of Creative Commons, whatever you contribute becomes a public resource. So anybody who wants to use it can use it. But of course, they can't use it in a copyrighted material. They will have to use it in a similarly Creative Commons copyrighted material. So it has that advantage, and generally when data become more easily available, more freely available under Creative Commons, more people can use it in various ways. So that is certainly there. But then many people feel, many photographers particularly feel very possessive about their images. They don't want images to go to the public for anybody's use. They do want to keep the copyright. And that is what we serve on this website. When we upgrade the websites next year, we have the option of, we will have the option of choosing the contribution to be either copyrighted to you or Creative Commons, where anybody else can use it, with attribution, of course, to you. So from next year, people will be able to choose when they contribute data, whether they want to make the image available as Creative Commons or copyrighted image. But right now, everything is copyrighted to the people who contribute. I'm finishing up a book. You will hear about that again very soon. But in that book, for example, I used a lot of images from the website. And website, of course, is a fantastic library to look for images that you might want to use in a book or a paper, research paper, a popular article, website, whatever it is. So of course, everybody looks at the website for identification to scope out for resources that they can use. But after they look at this, again, as I mentioned, there's a copyright. Nobody else should be able to use this. And they cannot, because the image that we upload is only 680 pixels wide, and that's an optimized image. So you're not going to be able to print it at any large size. You won't even be able to print it in a pictorial guide because it's not a good enough quality to be printed. Yeah, so that also protects copyright holders if they don't want anybody else to use it. But the whole point of copyright is that if there's copyright infringement by somebody else, you can file a court case. You can say this copyright was violated and you can get compensated. So that's my third answer, but actually I just realized there's a fourth answer. Not everybody can write a book. Not everybody can afford to publish a book. And not everybody will have knowledge to write a book. Not everybody will find a publisher to publish a good book or even a decent book. Yeah. So not everybody can do this. The person who raised the question you mentioned is an expert. Sure, that expert can do it, but almost nobody else can. Enthusiasts can produce perhaps field guide kind of things, or butterflies of New Delhi kind of books, but that has only limited value. So A, most people are not going to be able to do it with the images. B, they're going to face a lot of challenges. On the other, and maybe not everybody does want to publish a book, right? But when contributions go to a platform like this, all of that information becomes available to anybody who wants to use that information. If there's somebody who's writing a book, they can see this website because they know here's a library from which they can choose. And you will perhaps know, or I will tell you how this has worked out. Recently, somebody from Australia was writing a book on Asian primates, and they stumbled upon our Mammals of India website, and they contacted a bunch of us, including me, for a picture of the macaca, what is that called, from Arunachal, Munzala. I forget what the English name is, but macaca munzala, and they couldn't find an image anywhere else. They saw my image on Mammals of India website. They asked me whether I could send them a high resolution copy. So I gladly sent it to them. They'll send me a copy of the, it's going to be an ebook when it's published. So I get a nice book, which otherwise I will have to buy. I was never going to write a book on mammals, but somebody has used my image in the book. And they would have never found that image if I had not put it up on that website. Similarly, Dick Wainwright is a great butterfly biologist and taxonomist. If you have not heard of him, you're missing something. You should absolutely know that person. One of the best, one of the first-rate butterfly biologist and taxonomist, amazing person, has been around for a long time. He was the head of Lepidoptera collections at the Natural History Museum, London, for many years. So Dick and I know each other really well, but he didn't write to me when he wanted some images of orange oak leaf. He went to our Butterflies of India website instead, and then he found several images that he liked. And then, of course, he wrote to me saying, can you please send me emails of these people? But I tell you, people are looking at the website all the time, looking for nice images they could use in articles, in research papers, in books. I know there are several people who have been secretly looking at our website, and they have started contacting people who put up images on our website, right? So whether they acknowledge it or not, I guarantee you everybody is using the website, and your images have unparalleled visibility if you put your images on the website. So that's my last answer, why you should really put up images on the website. And if you're worried about copyright, as I mentioned, everything you can choose your copyright from next year. Right now, these are copyrighted to you. And I mentioned that I'm writing this book. Even for my book, even if I'm the editor of this website, I don't own this website. All of us owns this website. NCBS holds the copyright for this only for for legal purposes, because there has to be somebody who will defend the website if it is misused. But everything that has been contributed here is a public goods. Everything that we see here is a public resource. That is why we should contribute. That is why we should use it. So even I contacted each and every contributor, told them I wanted to use their images. Was it okay? And only after they said it was okay, I've used those images. So that's multiple levels of answers to that question. And I hope it satisfies all the queries related to copyright or contributions that people had. I find one question here. Christopher Lawler has asked a question, or it's a comment perhaps. I'll read it. Good evening from Kolasib, Mizoram. Nice. We don't have too many listeners and contributors from Mizoram, so I'm very happy to see that. I don't know if there are many contributions from my area. Do you have a checklist from the Northeast? So if Christopher is still listening, I will ask him what does he mean by checklist? Does he mean checklist of the butterflies, or does he mean checklist of the people who are contributing from Mizoram? So from Mizoram, we don't have too many contributions in general. Some of the first images that were contributed from Mizoram were from my own trip way back in 2009 or 8, I think. But since then, several people have contributed a few images, but still the total number of images contributed is probably not more than 100, 200 or 300 max. So we do need a lot more observations from Mizoram. We do need a lot more people from Mizoram who are contributing. It's not good enough to for people from, let's say, New Delhi or Chennai or Kolkata to go to Northeast or to Andaman Nicobar Islands or to the Himalayas. We need people from those local areas contributing. The reason why I feel very happy about recent contributions is that Sikkimese native people like Sonam, who's displayed here on the screen, have started contributing. When local people take charge of biodiversity around them, then there's some hope. And ultimately, outsiders are probably never going to go to Zongo in July because there are landslides, it rains, you don't know whether you're going to get a clean, clear sky to photograph and watch butterflies. So many people will not go to higher Himalayas or more remote places in Himalayas during the monsoon because it's harder, right? But when Sonam, he lives in Namprigdan, yeah, he's as native as it gets to Zongo. When he starts photographing and contributing images, that completely changes our understanding of what species are active when, in which areas. So to answer Christopher once again, yes, we absolutely want as many people from Mizoram or every single state, every single district and every single locality, every single municipality to contribute images. And when they start doing that, of course, we'll have checklists from each one of these places, which is pretty solid. So that answers both of them. And I just see that Christopher has just sent a message saying that Rohan sir has answered privately. I shall follow up by contributing. So I suppose he meant from Mizoram. And Christopher, thanks for this question and for the subsequent comment. I really look forward to seeing your images from Mizoram. It's a wonderful state. I've had 2 trips there. I've enjoyed quite a lot, and hopefully next year I'll be able to visit again. So we should meet then.
Thank you. We'll be looking for your help also.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, there's one more question from Anil
Krishna, there's one right below it.
Okay.
How will we get confirmation that the photo is submitted?
That is the one that I was about to read. So when a photograph has been submitted, there's an email. It doesn't get sent immediately, but it gets sent periodically once every few days or so. So after you have submitted a picture, you will get an email at some point saying that this is received, and especially if there are any comments on your pictures. Yeah? I think submission alone, you don't get an email right now. But when we upgrade the website next year, at that time, we have already put this as an agenda item, as a feature where as soon as you submit images, you will get an email with a link to individual submissions saying that these are the observations that you have submitted. but perhaps this is already done. I don't know whether Purnendu has logged in. If he has, then he may be able to confirm this. But I think an email is sent. But it is sent periodically, not immediately. When we upgrade the website, it will be sent immediately. The second email that you get is when somebody comments on your picture. So reviewers may have a question. As I showed earlier, if you have submitted only the underside and we want to see the upper side to confirm species identity, then we'll leave a note there saying, can you please do that? If you have by mistake uploaded a picture with your copyright text on the image itself, your copyright watermark, then we'll leave a message saying, can you please upload a clean image without the copyright? So you'll get that email and then you can take action, whatever is required there. Or sometimes it may just be an appreciation email. Like I mentioned, I forget who the new contributor was today, but I wrote that message saying, welcome to Butterflies of India and thanks for your contributions. So those kinds of emails you will receive. And then the third kind of emails that you get is when your image is published. And then you will also receive in that email automatically a link to your image on the website and to edit it. So you get these three kinds of emails, and eventually you will start getting several more kinds of emails if you ask for. So there will be an option to send yourself an email. For example, if you want to download your own data or do something else. So those things can also be done. So all that is in the works, but right now these three definitely get done. And of course, when you submit the image, I showed you that after you submit the image, you should click on this details confirm. If you don't, if you haven't chosen it, it says please double check the date and location, and then it says click here. So you have to click it before we can see it in the review system. Yeah. So please make sure that that has happened. If you have clicked there and you see this text, red text turn green after you check the box, then don't worry about it. We have received it. Images never go missing through the review system. So if you see that green text saying details confirm, then we have received it. Don't worry about it. All right, that is pretty much the end of the Zoom questions. If you have any other questions.
I don't see any.
One last question from Facebook. Aniruddha asks, if you have any question about any observation that we are submitting, how to ask that? I cannot comment if admins do not comment on that observation.
Can he switch on his microphone and explain exactly what kind of
Facebook? It's a Facebook question. What I could gather is that if he has an observation on the picture that he's submitting and he wants to ask a question about that picture, how does he go about it?
Okay, he can just put it in the comments. So you have this, notes field here. Yeah, so when you're submitting your image and all the data associated with it, if you have a question, you can just put it in the notes. We do read notes for every single observation. So if you have asked a question, we'll answer it using this user comments section. And once we add the comment, you will get an email stating that here is the answer to your question. So that will happen. Yeah.
I think we are at the very end of our meeting, Sohail. There's no more questions here. So.
Well, if you don't have any questions.
Yeah, I think we mostly covered all. Dr. Kunte, do you think there are any more questions you might have missed?
No, nothing comes to my mind right now. And if I think of something, maybe I will write about it on Facebook. And of course, we can have another session if needed. So nothing else comes to mind right now. What I will say though, before I finish, is that I've really enjoyed talking about this. And I think there's tremendous potential to what we are doing here through the website and especially through the whole community that we have built up. This community has not been easy to build. The other day I was talking to somebody and I mentioned that Indians really love to fight. We have so many groups, we have so many preferences, we have so many grudges against each other, and we really shouldn't. The life is short, the world is small, the tasks ahead of us are really tremendous. We should really just understand that this is everybody's website. People actually benefit locally if there are more observations from their area on the website, because then they have all the information consolidated. All the information that I showed you, all the features that I showed you, looking at seasonal occurrence, looking at the distributional map, looking at variation, all those things become available to everybody. It's not just others who are going to look at this. You yourselves from your area are going to look at this. And especially in areas where you don't have too much scientific expertise, too much local expertise in butterfly watching, identification, or anything else, you're essentially tapping into a very reliable set of people who have a lot of information, who are going to help you confirm identification, confirm whether it's a male or female, curate your own data so that you learn about how to identify male and female, how to distinguish between wet season from dry season form, when do those forms occur in your area, and so on and so forth. So all these things really become important and useful when you want to do this sort of work at a large scale. So what I'll really recommend is that please just understand this is everybody's website. Everybody benefits from it. So start contributing. I'll, by the way, also start my video so that there's a more personal touch to what I'm saying now. And Big Butterfly Month is a very good occasion to come together. We all have already come together to make this a success, right? There are 50 NGOs and institutions which have come together. As Sohail has mentioned this several times, at no point in history in Indian butterfly groups have so many institutions and entities come together. So we are already decided that we are going to forget about whatever that keeps us apart, and we're going to do this together. Yeah? Here is one more thing, and maybe I haven't talked to you, maybe other reviewers of the website, contributors of the website, editors of the websites haven't talked to you. But that doesn't mean that we don't want data from your side, or we don't want to cover your area. We absolutely want to do it. In fact, people see the value of this website enough that even people from Nepal and Pakistan have started contributing. From Nepal, we are getting fairly regular contributions, not from too many people, but we do have some. From Bhutan, we have got contributions. From Bangladesh, there are several people who are contributing. So essentially, there is nobody who is excluded. You just have to start using it, contributing it. But the reason why this is, I think this is important, is not only because you yourself will learn, but there's a greater vision in building this. Trust me, I spend enormous amount of time curating data on this, talking to people, getting them to contribute, helping them with all these things. We started at 7, it's nearly 10 o'clock. Yeah, I'm talking to you for 3 hours. I, as a professional who has to run a research lab, I have 10 people working with me. I would like to spend more time with my family, so on and so forth. I'm still spending time here because I really care about this community. Yeah, every one of us should learn to look beyond what we want, what we gain. If we all come together, I think this platform has tremendous potential. And because this is a homegrown platform, it's even more important for us. We normally look at what has been created somewhere else and say, wow, this is great. Here is one website where people from all over the world write to me. I get emails regularly, absolutely regularly, from Europe, from North America, from other parts of the world, saying we just stumbled upon your website, loved it, how can we contribute? There are lots of Europeans who come to India, for example, for tourism. If they see a butterfly, a cicada, a bird, or whatever else, they write to us and they want to contribute images to the website. The fact that this is a homegrown platform which is so strong in the features that we provide and the data that we have been able to generate and make freely available, it's phenomenal. This will get better only if we come together and make sure that this is a platform which is just going to go from strength to strength. So please talk to people about this, get them to contribute, get them to use it. Generally, we need to build a community which is much healthier than it has been so far. And one way to start doing it is to come together through programs like Big Butterfly Month. Start contributing now, and I'm pretty sure you'll like the website. You'll like the features. You'll learn a lot, and then just continue on. Please do that. There's so much to do in India. We're still discovering new species. We're still discovering interesting things about basic biology of butterflies. You must have seen recently there were 2 or 3 posts that I made where my master's students, PhD students, sometimes undergraduate students who had worked with me discovered something really fascinating. The whole rediscovery of lilac silverline was an effort through the website. So the image of that butterfly was posted on Facebook first. Somebody who's well known misidentified it, but the student, 12th grade student, still wanted to contribute it to the website because we encourage contributions of even the commonest butterflies. So he contributed it, and then I realized that it's a lilac silverline, right? That was the first record of lilac silverline after more than 100 years in India. This was December 2012. Since then, we have discovered that this population breeds here. We have published one paper, which is pretty solid. It has been received well. People all around the world know this because we were able to find something remarkable from that particular population. Similarly, recently, several northeastern folks have been able to find species which are new for India. So as a citizen scientist, there is no limit to what you can discover, where you can discover it. You just need to bring it here. There's a community here which can help you. If you are not going to put up your images on a platform like this, or iNaturalist or whatever else that you want to use, then people are not going to see that, and you are going to miss out on that discovery. If you don't contribute to our website or other platforms, somebody else is going to see that butterfly someday. They are going to walk away with the credit, right? Contribute it here, get credit for what you have. And as I mentioned, everything gets archived. People all over the world look at our images, look at our data. We get citations on a regular basis. We have, I think, more than 100 or 150 citations in scientific papers so far. And because every single page on our website has a citation, along with the people who have contributed textual information or life cycles. We don't give species page authorship only for a picture. But if you include information on the species, textual information or life cycles, range extension, that kind of things, then of course you get an authorship. And you will get a citation in a scientific paper as a result of that. So as I mentioned, the advantages of contributing are tremendous. The opportunities to learn are tremendous. Please start contributing. And looking back, you will thank yourself. Talk to people who have been contributing for a long time. Rohit Girotra, Mr. Nagraj. In the Northeast, several other people have contributed for a long time. From Sikkim, there are several people who have contributed. And going back, I can remember dozens of people who have done it. Subramanyam Kalluri, I haven't seen his recent contributions, but certainly he contributed a lot from what was Andhra Pradesh at that time. Now it's Telangana. So all these records are there. Please contribute, learn, and grow this platform. With that, I'll stop. Thanks again for listening. And I look forward to seeing all your contributions on the Butterflies of India website so that I will get to learn as much as you will get to learn from all these. Yeah. Thanks again.
That was amazing, Krishnameg. Really well put. And all the points you covered in the end is exactly why we are doing the Big Butterfly Month and exactly why this committee is so important for not just conservation of butterflies, maybe even other taxa. Such endeavors are required in other fields too, as you mentioned in the last talk, that India is a knowledge black hole in those terms. So thank you for such an amazing talk, and thank you everybody who's been here listening and asking questions. The questions were amazing. Let me end today by just reminding everybody that 5th of September on Teachers' Day, we are opening, doing a digital launch on 5:30 p.m. So spread the word. get everybody along. Let's start counting butterflies. Let's become citizen scientists. Yeah.
Great.
So,
And so in the next
thank
week or two, or in before the month ends, I also look forward to talking to people again so that we can talk about biology of butterflies, because a lot of people seem to have questions about that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that we'll put that talk together. Yeah, it'll be a great session. You know, there's these questions which come up all the time.
Sure.
So it'll be a fun, maybe a open session kind of thing where people
Great.
can just.
And we'll get some international biologists to join us as well, so that it becomes a nice platform to learn about butterfly biology. So we'll do that. Yeah.
And there are even other talks being planned for the whole month and the whole year, perhaps. And some interesting stuff is happening. We're getting people from all over to be, get involved. Not just India, of course, like you said, even international researchers, people working with the monarch butterfly and what they've done there to, make outreach programs. So it's going to be a great, great celebration this month, and I hope. We're all part of it. Thank you.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.